Yeah!
Hello!
Yo.
Month 6 of Kathryn Bigelow.
Started. We're stranded on an alien planet.
We're on the edge of someone's career, plumbing the depths for anything worthwhile. We've come up with the weight of water.
Yes, so...
And guys, it's gonna be a fun one to talk about.
This is great. This is great. Oh, hold on. Let me.
Hello.
Oh gosh, we need it. Oh, we're just doing this. There we go. I need a really nice. I think this is the 9th time I've worn this Rocky shirt. I'm gonna come up with a good weight of water background. That's. I probably can find something other than pictures of Elizabeth Hurley in a bikini. Probably.
Why bothered? I mean, I would be very curious to see what.
Weight of water.
No,
wallpapers.
no. Don't even put film. Oh, sure, put wallpaper. Whatever is the first image you have to put in.
Oh. Yep. There you go.
I said go up one. Go up a little. Up a little.
Oh, up?
Up. Scroll past one.
I did?
Yeah, keep going up. Keep going up.
Like up this way?
Yep. Up
like the
and
general?
Up. There you go.
Oh, you're right. Boy, they cut the whatever the beer was in mid. This is a great.
This little moment.
That's
of,
the wallpaper.
Brotherly love.
I
am fucking stoked to be.
Checks notes. The Weight of Water. Is that what you watched? Yeah. Did anyone watch The Weight of Water?
Yeah.
Or you didn't have to because you'd already seen it.
It's
We're just gonna trash it.
This one we're gonna have to give a synopsis and we'll kind of we'll talk about what is actually going on in this movie because I'm assuming most people haven't seen it.
Yeah. No. This one. This title card where it has the
in alphabetical
order.
That was another confusing thing to me.
Yeah. I was like, why?
Why?
Is the studio happy with that?
Yeah. There you go. That's a good one.
Boom. Just this one?
Yeah.
Actually, you're right. That is a good one. I mean, it's
appropriate.
Yeah. Hello.
Oh boy.
Wait, why is that not?
The Weight of Water.
Yeah.
A movie that I thought was made in 1996.
So that's interesting.
That I didn't verify whatsoever, but I was like pretty firm in my conviction. I was like, this was made in like 1996, and it was made in
2000.
2000, released in 2001.
Oh, interesting. So what's interesting is that like visually and technically to me it felt like a newer film than that. Well, but thematically and everything else it felt like a 90s movie.
Yeah, well see, and the one thing I was giving it
off-brand
credit. Yeah, yes they are. The one thing I was giving the movie credit for, I was like, oh, well, for a movie in 1996, this is using techniques that are quite modern, and I was like, this is really a cool-looking movie, cinematography-wise, so kind of have to take that a little bit back.
Yeah. Hold on. Okay, let's hear. Shut up, music. Very nice. All right. Did I not? So yeah, let's put a 1 in the chat. Never mind. No one watched it. No one watched this. Ebert gave this a solid 2 out of 4. So, let me get the...
That's interesting to me. Would you give
2 out of 4? That's weird.
I guess.
But this is going to be an interesting... Because, okay, let's just get it out of the way. To me, I mean, it didn't...
Actually, that makes total sense because half this movie is watchable.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think
it's not good.
No,
none of it's good.
I mean, I think
half of it's watchable.
Juan Pequeño water weighs 8.34 pounds per gallon. Ah, so it's very much like 21 grams. This whole thing.
That's exactly what I thought of. Just the title. And I was like, oh, Sean Penn's got a weird thing about like poetic weight fluctuations.
Scripture. If you can say one thing about Sean Penn, it's true. Thank you for the subscription. About the dual plot lines wasn't necessarily a good idea. I didn't feel like that's exactly right. That's
correct.
That's exactly
He's
that's exactly the problem.
This movie.
Juan Pequeño, thank you for those 25 months. Lots and lots of love. Thank you, dude.
This is 2 movies.
Yes, it really is. And one of them is worth making.
And one of them's worth making. It's not great because I knew I knew what the twist was. It's not a twist, but like
it's because you're a genius.
what the reveal was. It was like a really, really, really obvious kind of crappy Hercule Poirot, Agatha Christie novel, where I just knew instantly, you know, what, because it's all about a woman who like runs into town. She's all bloody, and she's like, this man killed my 2 friends.
So yeah, let's
here's the synopsis on IMDb.
Yeah.
A newspaper photographer researches an 1873 double homicide,
Which is a true story. It truly happened.
and finds her own life paralleling that of a witness who survived the tragic ordeal.
Right. Very carefully and diplomatically written synopsis. That's,
Yeah.
Who survived the ordeal.
Should I read the longer one?
Sure. Is there a longer one? Go for it. I'm still trying to get this stupid
In
thing to work,
1873, on Smutty Nose Island.
Yep. True story.
A bleak island off the coast of New England, Louis Wagner is tried and hanged for the murder of 2 women. At the trial, the survivor of the murders, Norwegian immigrant Maren Hontvedt,
So really, it's an anti-immigration film.
recounts the events that led up to the murder of her sister and sister-in-law. In doing so, she reveals how she was caught in a loveless marriage and her repressed passion for her brother.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the present day, newspaper photographer Jean travels to the island off the New Hampshire coast with her husband Thomas, an award-winning poet, his brother Rich, and Rich's girlfriend Adeline.
Let's not. Now he's a Pulitzer Prize winning poet. I mean, I'm an award-winning actor, which I say in my bio.
Let's save that because I want to talk about how they revealed he was a Pulitzer winner for 30 minutes. According to the papers, Jean is researching the murders of the 2 immigrant women. In a twist of fate, she discovers archived papers that appear to give an account of the murders. According to the papers, Norwegian immigrant Maren Hontvedt survived the attack, which was allegedly done by Louis Wagner, who had once tried to seduce her. The plot unfolds the narrative of the papers and Hontvedt's testimony against Wagner that gets him hanged, even though she was the murderer, as Jean surmises.
Whoa!
Jean privately struggles with the jealousy as Adeline openly flirts with Thomas, who openly appreciates Adeline's topless beauty, along with her interest in his work.
And that's not a metaphor. I mean, she's literally topless.
She's topless a lot in this movie.
I mean, not that much, but it feels like
because this movie is so. It's 2 movies. They cut back and forth.
Yeah.
The through line is tenuous at best.
Yeah. Because
it's weird. It does seem like she's topless this movie.
It does, and it's because it's 2 movies and the percentage of her percentage of the movie is smaller.
Yeah.
Therefore, the percentage of her toplessness seems larger.
She's definitely in a bikini for a large portion of the time.
321K worldwide.
Whoa! Wow.
Is that Kathryn Bigelow on the boat? I mean, it's true. There is a similarity. They do vaguely look familiar. Yeah, look similar.
Yeah, this movie is.
So yeah.
Here's the craziest thing. I enjoyed watching it. I was fascinated at how much it wasn't working.
Yeah.
And I was fascinated. I was bored out of my mind.
And
yet I was fascinated at how I was bored out of my mind because this was Kathryn Bigelow, who if she does one thing, it's not boring.
That's absolutely true. And it's very interesting because like oh my gosh, this is all sounding terrible to you guys, right? Because this is all yeah. So it's the least Kathryn Bigelow movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
In my life.
And she chose to do this after a 5-year she was kind of put in director's jail after what was it called?
Strange Days.
Strange Days. And because that movie it had a big budget, didn't make a lot of money. And so she was kind of put in director's jail. It took her 5 years to get another movie made.
And it was this movie.
Between
Strange Days and this, there were 3 episodes of Homicide: Life on the Streets.
That's right.
That's it.
And I don't know how much of this is self-imposed exile or she just couldn't get a movie made, but it is shocking to me that this is the movie that she chose to come back with. I just was not expecting this movie in terms of like tone or pacing or just what it was. I was trying to tell him, I was like, what does this movie remind me of? And I can't remember if it's Fellini or there's this movie called, is it called La Ventura or La Ventura?
Yeah, I think yeah.
But it's like a woman gets lost on an island, and it's just there's a vibe to it that at least the present day stuff on the boat kind of feels like where nothing really happens. But at least they're talking about interesting shit in the Fellini movie.
Yeah, and it's a Fellini movie, and and the whole thing is that like, because it's weird because parts of this movie feel like they want to play like one of those movies where nothing happens and it's sort of an atmospheric or whatever kind of contemplative thing.
And that is one.
But then there's a glut of plot in this movie, and then there's other parts of the movie that really, really want to, like, parts of this movie seem like they don't want to have, they want to be one of those movies that are kind of wordless. Part of this movie very, very much is in love with its language. And part of this movie, and there's tons of dialogue and like kind of like rapier back and forth kind of things. Sort of. Yeah. And then it flips. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's really...
And it is that, though. That's why the movie doesn't work. Because it's not that the two plot lines don't mesh. It's that it's two completely different movies trying to be made. One, plot intensive, like a detective movie set in like the early or the late 19th century, you know, and then you have this very... atmospheric, nothing happens, not really any plot whatsoever type thing. It's bizarre.
It's yours saw Sean Penn as Walmart Liam Neeson. That's interesting because to me Sean Penn is like, I think Liam Neeson would be like, well, I'm very, very flattered to hear you say that because I mean Sean Penn is a world-class actor.
He is a world-class actor. He definitely saw what Liam Neeson was doing with all the Taken movies.
Oh, and has started doing that.
And he did The Gunman, which was like Taken.
Yeah, I really want people, because that's interesting. Cause like it's weird. It's interesting to kind of like meet Sean Penn in movies nowadays, and even like much of his adult career, and then go back and watch Spicoli. Like,
yeah, I know, it's so like, bizarre that it all kind of started with Spicoli.
Like he just did that, and then like
he did that once, and he was like, "That's it,
never again."
Is there an actor who more defines the early movie covers than Sean Penn looking forlorn outside? You want to talk about Sean Penn looking forlorn? This is the movie.
And so is every movie where he's just kind of like, you know.
But there is nothing anchoring him down or up in this movie to like even justify on a character level why he's acting this way. He is just, I'm like, what a...
You get to watch him,
asshole he seems in this movie.
You really, this is pretty. Yeah, you're right, because there's not like the weight of a 21 grams kind of around him. There's not whatever. You really do just get to be like, okay, what are you gonna do? Get left to your own devices, Sean Penn. Let's see you like rough up the dialogue a little bit, and he does it. And he, he's fine. He's fine. No one's bad in the movie. Absolutely.
No one is bad in
But the characters, you're like, what the fuck are you, man? One time I saw Sean Penn get up at, I think, an award show to introduce something, and midway through it lit a cigarette, which has to be one of the douchiest things for him. Macaulay Culkin. You saw, hold on. The interesting thing about that, and I don't mean to be a dick, but like, the interesting thing is that you saw Macaulay Culkin introduce someone at an award show. What award show was that?
My brother went to a celebrity fundraiser thing in Louisiana one time, and Sean Penn was there. Yeah. And like a lot of people were there, and Sean Penn and Brad Pitt were hanging out, and Brad Pitt was just having to like kind of nurse Sean Penn around because he was so drunk.
Oh wow!
Just so hammered.
Sean Penn is. Sean Penn is. I mean, yeah. If you want the depth of sadness, you go to Sean Penn.
He seems like a guy who like
He's Bono. He's Bono. He and Bono are the same exact human being.
He seems like he wants desperately to make meaningful art. But he hates being an actor, like that's his art, just like, and the bullshit that he has to go through to like, he wants to make meaningful stuff, and he seems super resentful that he's had to make stuff that he's not fully in control of. Sure. Because he's very talented. Yeah. And like, he's a hell of a director. Like he knows what he's doing.
Did you know that Sean Penn wrote a Pynchon ripoff novel? That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me either.
There's a story, apparently, so Sean Penn and Nicolas Cage, and I don't know if this is, but there's a story that, because Sean Penn and Nicolas Cage were in Fast Times together and kind of were young actors and friends together. And then years later, Nicolas Cage had gone off and done, his career had gone the way his had gone, and Sean Penn's had gone the way his. And there's a story that Sean Penn saw Nicolas Cage at a party years later and like punched him in the face for like making poor acting choices, for like being in like kind of schlocky movies. And I was like, that's the most Sean Penn thing I've ever heard in my life.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. I don't know how true that is.
How self-important are you?
Yeah.
You're
Also,
like,
Nicolas Cage made some fantastic movies as well.
Honestly, I would say that Nicolas Cage, when he's at the top of his form, Sean Penn can't get close to it. Just my opinion.
Spicy.
Leaving Las Vegas, Nicolas Cage.
You know, I've never.
Oh,
I know, and it's his one.
Stunning.
Yeah. Talk about. I mean, that's the. I mean that. You could shuffle Sean Penn in there, right? Pretty easily in that role. No.
No.
Interesting.
You couldn't.
Interesting.
It is one of the best like acting performances I've ever seen.
I'd love to see it. I think I saw it. Somewhere I have access to it. I saw it recently. Maybe it's like free on Amazon Prime or something. He looks exactly like Macaulay Culkin. Just Googled the name because he can't spell it. It looks like a stretched out kid. He never. Yeah, he does kind of look like someone just went. Leaving Las Vegas is a good punch. Yeah, not gonna stop drinking. You can't ask me that. Yeah.
Yeah. If you ever want to quit drinking, watch that movie.
Yeah, and it's about and it was written by an alcoholic who I think died.
I remember watching it like at a period when I had just quit drinking, and I was like, "Holy Moses!"
Yeah, that's like
accurate.
That's the one that it's like it's like Leaving Las Vegas, like Days of Wine and Roses, like those are those are the alcoholism movies. He killed himself, right? Yeah, exactly. And you kind of and again, I haven't seen Leaving Las Vegas, but I kind of go like, yep.
Elizabeth Shue's in it. And she's great.
Yeah, man. Well, okay, so what we've got here.
Yeah, we need to talk. We need to break. We did the synopsis. We got to break this down. This movie is told in two halves, like two sections. We got two plots going on.
Yeah.
We got a plot in 1873. That's a murder detective mystery
centered around Sarah Polley, and she's our protagonist, and she again was the witness to this. They live in a cabin
Double
and it's
murder,
isolated and it's on a lot of this reminded me very, very much of, do you remember The Light Between Oceans, the Lighthouse movie that we saw? So much of it. There's so many very, very similar elements.
I think that's kind of why I didn't have a problem watching this movie, even though it was dull as shit. Is like, I'm such a sucker for coastal movies. I need to go to that Film at the Sea film
This movie won some award at the like Film by the Sea film festival, and we both made the joke that we're like, because I'm
gonna go home and be like,
where they select movies
I run
that that occur near the sea. Manchester by the Sea, that was a big year for them.
Yeah, like that's one for us.
Yeah. They're like McHale's Navy. Yeah. Like that counts. It's fine.
Oh yeah, but Kale's Navy. Forgot about that.
Yeah. Last night you dreamed that Brad Pitt killed himself. That's interesting.
Whoa.
Why did I start going bald or something? Wow. You saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah. So we've got Sarah Polley, and they live on this. They're kind of isolated. They show, I guess a little later, because at one point we're flashing back. And then in that flashback, she starts talking about the first time she came to America, and then we flashback within the flashback.
Yeah,
and I went,
let's talk about how there are flashbacks within flashbacks.
Yeah.
There are
it's kind of like hallucinations, sort of.
Yeah, there's misdirects, and like it's very hard to get a tether on like any one thing.
Kieran Hines is fine. It's fine. Everyone's fine. There's not a bad performance here.
Who's Kieran Hines?
Kieran Hines is the I have my rheumatism.
He's the best. Because I saw There Will Be Blood last night too, and he pops up in that, and I'm just like, is there another character actor like him who I'm just like, anytime he shows up, I'm just like, you're amazing. You don't feel that way?
I don't have that reaction.
He's in Road to Perdition.
I think he's good.
Got that speech to Paul Newman. He's like, you're the you walk around like God, like after his brother's killed. He's great. He's always great when he shows up.
Cool. He's in Miami Vice too. That's cool.
He's awesome.
So we've got this. Sarah Polley comes to America. She's sent. We don't know why at this point. She's sent to America with her new husband. She's Norwegian. She kind of talks like this a bit, sort of. Not at all like that. Sorry. Whatever. They're Norwegian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they Norwegian? No.
They're Scandinavian. I think they're Norwegian. I think they are Norwegian or Sweden.
I'm gonna be real honest. A lot of the details of this, like
Helmsland.
Yeah.
Flevtgrot. The last names are like an IKEA. It's like Freksdont.
Yeah.
Bliksvenstompen.
Flockstor.
Racken.
Did you like
Stroopwafel.
Did you like her?
I like Sarah Polley a lot in this.
What else
role.
has she been in?
She's in Go. She directed Away From Her. She's in stuff. She's in stuff. She's a good she's very indie cred.
Yeah.
She's a very good actress, I think. You're not saying anything. You don't think she was great?
Well, I just don't know if I just. It's one of those things where I'm like, I hated her character.
Yeah, understood.
I don't know.
She's in something called The Sweet Hereafter. Dawn of the Dead. She was in. She's in the remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Okay.
That's right. My Life Without Me. She's in Go. She's in Trigger. She's in Splice. She's kind of.
Okay. I see. Yeah.
Don't Come Knocking. Anyway.
And so
she's a director now.
She witnesses a double murder. Gets away.
Yeah.
Claims that.
And it's an axe murder.
It's an axe murder. It's really bloody and brutal.
And we see her on the stand describing it, and it's Kieran Hines, who is a guy who's come into the house, who's like her husband has brought him home. She's like, he's got rheumatism. We need to take him in, and then we'll
give him a job. He can work for us. Blah blah blah.
And
work
he's
on the farm.
And he's like, you have to take care of you. Why I don't know.
What that
yeah. He's like, yes, please. You've got to take care of me. I've got rheumatism. Down lower.
Down low.
My rheumatism is in my pants. He's German.
My Scottish penis.
Yeah, I don't know why he's and then he's like they take him on. For a long time, it's Sarah Polley and her kind of essentially arranged marriage husband. Mm-hmm. She's kind of dead inside. It's a loveless marriage. It has so many tropes, not tropes. So many things that you go like, there we go. You're just checking them off the list. The scene of the woman. Of her, Sarah Polley just laying there while the guy's grunting over her. Yeah, and the cameras kind of come in, and we go like, I get it. And
again, I was just like, well,
and that's fine.
This is 1996, so I'm gonna let that pass. It's not 96,
and it's not. And the thing is, it's not really. It's weird because I've seen that in plenty of movies, and when you've got a strong story around it, it doesn't matter. And it's
I feel like that's an accurate. Yeah,
and it is accurate. It's true.
No, I have no issue that it was even in there. I don't think that's an originality.
But it's weird. Yeah, exactly. And that's totally accurate. And it tells us what we need. Blah blah blah. But this movie did some things where it's like, yep, okay, yep. And I was so unfortunately bored that I'm picking on those things. Whereas if I was engaged, I'd be like, yeah. And so anyway, she's in love with marriage. Blah 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 blah. Her husband is a nice guy with a big beard. And a big blonde beard.
Very big Swedish beard.
Yeah, and he's like, and he goes, she works, and she's like, I like the work. The work doesn't bother me. And he goes off.
The work, she said something, it was like, the work keeps me from being suicidal, essentially.
Basically, yeah.
What she said, yeah.
And so she's whatever. And then we see her again on the stand. Recounting this horrific true crime, it's a crime that actually happened, and it's a crime that actually that there's been controversy about over since it happened in 1873 or whatever it was, and it's an axe murder, and they show in her recounting we see Kieran Hines grab an axe, put it through the head of Vanessa Shaw, who's Domino in Eyes Wide Shut, but she's the wife of Sarah Polley's brother who comes to stay with them. Also, Sarah Polley's sister has come to stay with them, and they're both murdered. Sarah Polley, as we see in the flashback, gets away and then is on the stand. And then they have Kieran Hines. So they go and arrest him, and they bring him to court, and they have him in this adorable baby
goes up to his shins.
Yeah, and it's bars. And I was like, this is like a business casual jail cell. Like what the
he could have just lifted his leg up and he'd be free.
It's the cutest thing in the world.
It makes very Swedish.
It makes no sense. It's like it is up to here, but they put bars on it to remind him he's a prisoner.
Yeah, it was weird.
So it's symbolic.
It's like you stand there.
And I'm sure this is historically accurate. So I'm just like, what the they just did that to be like, if you walk into the courtroom, you go, that's the guy. It's like he's a contestant on Jeopardy.
It's like the carpenter, he's like, I drank a lot last night.
I just really like jail cells.
Finish it in time.
It's ridiculous. It's really insane. You're so glad you didn't watch this. Richard Roper gave this a positive review on tour. He did? Oh, I don't.
Dude, what a super dork.
So
this movie sucks.
I mean, I like Kathryn Bigelow. We all like Kathryn Bigelow.
Kathryn Bigelow.
I like these actors. I think these performances are good. I think some of the on a technical level, the filmmaking is good. it's not a good movie.
It's not a good movie.
There are parts. If you saw scenes of this movie, you could be like, this is a good movie. But putting the whole thing together, it's like objectively not a movie that works.
It doesn't, and I liked watching it for a multitude of reasons. One of them being, I was like, it was nice to see. I find famous directors' failures so interesting to me because it rounds them out.
Yeah.
It doesn't make them like these infallible creatures. I'm like, this is just, and especially with this one, like this was just a complete creative misfire. And it's not that she did a poor job directing it, or anything like that. Like, it's just how this movie is put together. Like, this shouldn't have been a movie.
Yeah, it's true.
It just shouldn't have been a movie.
And that's it. And I thought of that too. It's this thing where, like, because I feel like I think I've probably said this before, and I just feel like, because movies are very, very difficult because you can get, like, you go from thing to thing, from task to task to task to task, and you can perfect that and perfect that and perfect that and do this well and do this well and do this well and do this well. You string them all together, you throw it up, and you watch it, and you go, well, we didn't it's not like we fucked anything up necessarily, but it just, at the core of it, just didn't need to be a movie.
Yeah.
It just didn't need to be made.
And there's so many things that can happen in the process of making a movie, which is usually a minimum 2-year-long process. To derail a production into making it's incredibly hard to make good movies.
It is.
That's why when you have a director who can make more than one good movie, you're like, oh, he's actually not just talented, he's really talented because he can do it more than once.
Absolutely.
And is this Kathryn Bigelow's Ishtar? No, because Ishtar is awesome.
And Ishtar is
it's funny.
Here's the thing.
It's a lark.
Ishtar is it's risky, it's funny, it's kind of all over the place, but it's reaching for something. I think Kathryn
it reaches for something without ever taking itself too seriously.
And I think the reason this doesn't, like, we will talk about, there are reasons this doesn't work. But I think for me, one of the big reasons is that this feels like Kathryn Bigelow playing it safe. Yeah. Like her going, she's done all this crazy stuff. Like she did crazy bold stuff. Then she went Strange Days. That went, and she came back and did something that she was like, well, I'm going to do something that's just unimpeachable. Yeah. Like you can't fault me. This is like I think a New York Times bestselling novel.
Which is why she goes with a novel. And she's like, this is a safe bet. I just
cool.
have to execute it. But like the fundamental.
And she's dampening her inner Bigelow.
But here's the thing. If she had just chosen a novel that didn't have 2 plot lines, I felt like she would have done something quite good.
Yeah, and I wonder,
and it could have taken her career in a completely new, weird direction of like making a more subdued Kathryn Bigelow. That's maybe quote unquote higher pedigree in terms of like, oh, she directs serious movies,
which I think is what we've gotten sort of.
It is, but in what I feel like is her instinctual,
slightly more,
and where she wants to go. So I think ultimately this failure was a good thing because it led to where she is now.
So I see so many directors who have one huge hit and several bombs. They just keep letting them make films. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because you can make several bombs. Because like if you can make 2 that are great, that means you have something inside you that you can go and do it. It just takes a lot of ingredients.
Yeah, directing is like cooking. Yeah. You can't cook chicken stuffed broccoli and cheddar without chicken, broccoli, and cheddar. That's true. Well, and this is like you were making chicken broccoli and cheddar, and then you're also making margarita pizza, and then you like, well, actually those would go well together. Chicken, broccoli, and cheddar, and like strychnine. No, like what? Like I don't know. Yeah, like just 2. It's a chicken, broccoli, cheddar, sausage, cake, and pie, and then like put them all together and like serve it all at the same time.
And you're like, I'm gonna eat all that. It's gonna taste good individually.
Yeah, but like together,
I'm gonna feel it's just gonna be too much.
And like, why did you do that? And that is my main question. Like, why? And I think maybe it's because she was coming back and kind of being like, I'm gonna do something big. I mean.
But why the 2 plotline thing?
That's the novel.
The most,
and I wonder how.
I know that, but like that's why that's the most confusing thing because it's not like you can kind of see it working. It doesn't work at all.
No, it doesn't.
And like on a script level, you have to have seen that on the page to be like, wow, these are jarring.
I wonder
because this movie you can't ever get into either side of it because so frequently cut to the
Yeah.
They're like you're on one plot for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they immediately go to the other plot.
Yeah.
And then they go back. Like you're not with any one plot for more than 5 minutes at a time.
And it doesn't like there are many movies who do this, and there are movies who do it successfully. And there are movies where, and it's tricky, but there are movies where when they do it successfully, you get to a point where something is coming to a conclusion, and then they cut you back to the other thing, and
like
you
Godfather 2.
and you go, oh, this feels, and you go, oh, I see what you're doing. Cool. Now we'll go back to here, and they're both equally engaging. The thing is, with this movie, they're two movies that, like, this is so okay. So we haven't. So the two things are there's this double murder in 1873. And we slowly discover more and more and more about it. We go like, oh, did Ciarán Hinds really do it? We find out more about Sarah Pauli's past. Boom, boom, boom. We go into and we kind of like, oh, she's more of an interesting character. There's stuff going on. We get it's flashing back within that story. Like we're seeing different things. Yeah, and we're seeing different things that happen, and we're building up to that. Like that story is essentially is framed by the trial sort of, and then moves forward, and we go trial, then we're moving back before the trial, then we jump forward, and then we back, and then just ba. And so when we jump back from the other story, we don't know where we're going, but it's fine. That's not confusing.
That's the one thing that I was like, that should be confusing, and it's not.
It's not,
and it's fine. But I think it's just because that plot line is so much more engaging.
It really is
than the present day one.
Yeah,
like the stuff with Sean Penn is so utterly dull. And like, look, there are movies that I can understand. Like, I understand the intent. Like, it's like this is a movie where not anything plot related really happens. It's just strictly a mood and character piece and blah 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 blah. And it's about character relationships. The unfortunate part is that the writing in the present day section is so mind-numbingly just surface level and dumb. I just hated everyone and their reasons for everything. And I'm like, and everyone becomes it's about so the present day scenario. Let's get into that.
So there's this photographer.
There's this photographer. Her name is Jean. She is married to Sean Penn, who is it is revealed is a Pulitzer Prize winning poet.
Yes. Penn, the Pulitzer Prize winning poet, with
a dark history of his own that gets revealed later on.
Oh, I completely forgot about that because it doesn't. Who cares?
Yeah,
that doesn't matter.
And then they meet. They go on a boat, like an extended vacation, out on a boat with, which I didn't realize till like way later in the movie, is Sean Penn's brother in the movie.
Oh, really?
Josh Lucas.
Yeah.
Josh Lucas is his brother. I didn't realize that till about the end.
Oh wow, yeah.
And I thought she was Jean's brother. Because it makes it super fucking weird to me that that they're not brother sister, because they are so handsy with each other that I just immediately was like, oh, they're brother sister. Because why else would they be acting like that? And she's jealous of Josh Lucas's girlfriend,
who's Elizabeth Hurley.
Elizabeth Hurley, who is top Hurley in this movie.
I mean, she is
beautiful,
a very attractive woman. My goodness,
and she's
good.
She's good.
She's a good actress.
The performances in the entire movie are good.
And but the reason they're there is she's doing. I thought she was writing, but I guess not. I guess she's doing both.
She is going to investigate the
dual story, the other story,
the truth of the one that we're seeing play out. She is going there in present day to the site where the murder happened, because she works for a newspaper. She's a photographer,
and I guess
she's a photojournalist.
Yeah, so she's writing it as well. She
writes articles as well.
Yeah, which is this weird thing because early on I was like, oh, she's a writer. She's writing about this, and then and then Elizabeth Hurley is like, well, hey, I like your work. And she started talking to Sean Penn. I go, okay, so he's a writer too. And then like later, she's like, I think photography, like, cause
she literally says, she's like, we got along so well because he liked that I didn't know who he was when we first met, despite how famous he was, because I have never been much of she was like, I just never been a reader. I'm much more of a visual person.
Yeah, and I was like, because again, early on, I don't know if I mistook something or it says that, but I'm supposed to think more about her photography because she whipped out the camera, and I was like, oh yeah, she's taking pictures with like a fancy camera, because in a movie, every writer is also a photographer. Every protagonist who is a writer also dabbles in photography, and yet it's just, but she's a photographer.
And the way they present her, like when a character in a movie puts a camera up to their eye,
yeah,
and then you cut to what they're seeing, and usually there's like a little dot or something overlaid on top of the image, and then there's like a click sound, and then like maybe the image freezes or whatever. That doesn't happen here. So when they cut to her POV of what she's seeing in the camera, it's in black and white.
Yeah.
And then, but that's it. It's just her
that's
POV, and it's just
that.
black and white.
Yeah.
But there's no photos taken. So to me, I was just like, is she just holding the camera up to her eye and then just watching stuff play out?
It stops a few times, right?
It doesn't.
Really?
It does at the beginning, but not when she's taking photos. It does it on her.
So okay, but let's because I really want to dive into this.
Weird.
I really want to dive into this because so that's the setup. We've got one story that we begin with that is this historical, right? We start with it, right? It's this historical murder, this double axe murder / just murder.
And then that plays out. We
start off there, and then we cut here, and we're getting on the boat. They're driving, and they've left their daughter behind with their grandmother to go with the daughter's grandmother to get onto this boat because she wants to do this assignment. She needs to go and wants to do research for this assignment that she's doing about this other story.
And she also
which is the connection between the two timelines.
Yes, and she also thinks that like this will be a good way for them to like rehabilitate their marriage a little bit
because they're like there's this right at the beginning. She's like something Billy blah 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 blah, and she's British. It's the woman from Braveheart. It's Mel Gibson's wife in Braveheart, and she's a tremendous actress.
She's great
and she's beautiful.
Everyone is genuinely doing great work in this. It just doesn't
work.
Right,
it's the script. It really is the script.
It is the script, yeah.
This is why you got to have a good script because you got Kathryn Bigelow, you got Sean Penn, you got Catherine McCormick, who's great, you got Elizabeth Hurley, you got Josh, you got everybody doing really good work.
A-list talent across the board.
Does not work. And here we go. She's saying, I'm worried about Billy, and he goes. It defeats the purpose if you whatever. So we go, okay, so they're always like focused on the child, blah blah blah. Their marriage and they're trying to get away, and
he's having writer's block.
Yes,
like he hasn't written anything since
which we
his
hear
Pulitzer
later
winning
thing. And this is stuff that I kind of go like, I think this is all stuff that that points to why it worked better as a novel. Mm-hmm. Like they mentioned that, and I was like, oh yeah, he has writer's block, but they mentioned it later, almost as an afterthought. They mentioned this car accident that he had as an afterthought, and it just goes away. I think in a novel, when you got 500 pages, if you want, you can
would be the thrust of the whole
meander
movie.
And kind of fuck around and have these two whole stories, and maybe they connect better.
I thought that was genuinely interesting that he won the Pulitzer. It's revealed later in the movie that he has that the poems that he wrote that won him the Pulitzer were based off a girl who he killed in a drunk driving accident.
She was the passenger, he was the driver.
She was the passenger, he was the driver. And she died, and he wrote these poems about her after the accident, and he ended up winning the Pulitzer, and he hasn't written anything remotely close to that ever since, and now he has writer's block, and that's why people come up to him throughout the movie when they're in like the harbor or whatever, or when anyone compliments him on his writing, he's very dismissive of it.
Yeah.
And you understand why. I thought all that was very fascinating. Totally. But they gloss over it. I was like, that's a whole movie.
It's off to the side,
right in and of itself. And they just gloss right over it.
Thanks so much, Tom Beach, for those 19 months. And I totally agree. I think that there are things like that. There are things like his writer's block, their marriage even. I think that there are things, and the relationship between, because you barely even see Sean Penn and Josh Lucas talk to each other. There's like one scene.
I had no idea that they were brothers.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's like, hey, you're my brother. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's all this stuff, and I think it really is like, I just think it needed 3 more drafts or 4 more or 6 more drafts, and then you go, never mind. It should be a book.
I don't see how you can streamline this into a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, but by no means should it be longer at this rate.
No,
this movie should not be any longer because it's like 2 hours, and I kept going like, oh my god.
It's just what's crazy is it's 2 hours. It feels like it's 4 hours,
does.
And it doesn't. And yet there's not enough that happens in the movie
And yet there's too much that happens.
And yet there's too much that happens. There's not enough time to expand on everything. That should be our background. That's exactly right. She's full Hurley in this movie.
Yeah, like so that's an exact. So they get on the boat. They go like from the first time they get on a boat. They go up to his boat, to Josh Lucas's boat. He comes out, hops down, and goes, "Hey, I'm not Matthew McConaughey, but I kind of am." Right. And he reaches down to Kathryn McCormick. There's this sultry sax music playing for the whole fucking movie. She gets up on the boat, and he like smiles at her. The way he smiles at her, he gets up. They hug. Mm-hmm. He helps her up. They're hugging. We hold on. They're hugging, and I go, okay. And then they cut to Sean Penn doing the luggage, and I go, cool. She's gonna cheat on Sean Penn with him. Yeah, we're setting that up. Cool, got it. And then
once I realized that they weren't brother sister, I was like, oh, because otherwise that's why I thought they were brother sister, because I was just like, why are they acting that way?
Well, they mention I think it's just a line.
I think they addressed it.
If you had not felt that way, it's so fucking heavy-handed, because we meet Josh Lucas and we go, cool, so they're gonna have sex, and then we meet Elizabeth Hurley's nipples, and she comes out. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, she just comes out and is like, boom, pow. And we're like, okay. Yeah. I know it's Elizabeth Hurley, but do we have to? Yeah, it's Kathryn Bigelow. She walks out and goes like, oh, whatever. And she looks fantastic. Yeah. Everyone in this movie is very pretty. Maybe not Sean Penn. Sean Penn's a good-looking man, but the rest of them are like model-esque beautiful. I don't mean to trash Sean Penn. He's a very good-looking man, but he is Sean Penn, and he looks like a normal dude. He's a good-looking dude. I mean, he can't be. I mean, he's compared to these guys, it's unfair.
Yeah, you put him in there, and
but anyway, so Elizabeth Hurley walks up, and the second she steps on screen, you go, cool. She's gonna be like, this is gonna be an issue. Yeah, I get it. We're playing with. They're gonna fuck and they're gonna fuck.
Like, instant.
It's so instant, and you get it, and then for fucking 2 hours they go, yeah, and I go, I know. You told me immediately. And it's like, it's crazy. Like, you can look at the cover and guess that. Like, it's like... Yeah. And it's just like, so then, they get on and then like, almost immediately... So then it cuts to them and it's playing this like kind of ominous, sort of sensuous music. The sax is going, and we're
like
out on the boat.
Lethal Weapon, like but it reminded me so much of Lethal Weapon.
And Josh Lucas is taking us out to sea, and he's like, I'm kind of the manly whatever, and we're like, okay, cool, you're the eye candy for her.
Even he was sucked. Everyone was was on like 12 cc's of morphine. Like, everyone just felt incredibly sedated. Yeah. Like, they were just like, I was like, is that boat filled with opium? Yeah. Because even Josh Lucas, who's supposed to be like the livelier one, is so even keeled. Yeah. I was just like, ugh.
I mean, and so then we head out, and then we get these shots of the glittering ocean, and we should get this shot of Kathryn McCormick is like laying out luxuriously, and there's like, oh, just two couples on a boat. What could go wrong? Except that I've just seen 2 seconds of them interacting, and I know that everything's fucked. Then we cut, and we go like, and she's doing her photography thing, and she's watching Sean Penn, but we know that she's looking to Josh Lucas, and he's diving off, and she's like, and it's like focusing on him. So, and I think it sucks that you thought they were brothers, because it throws the whole thing out of whack, because like, it's so fucking heavy, it's ridiculous. I'm just like, I get it. Yeah. And then they go, and then almost immediately cut to Elizabeth Hurley, and like, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna find because I wrote so much during this movie.
About her boobs.
Yeah. I was like, man, and I just made text drawings of her boobs. Because she almost immediately. Oh gosh, I wrote I have to read it. So like,
she is so overtly coming on to him that it is bananas.
I'm like, Bigelow, you cast her, and you gotta pull her back.
Yeah, it's still a fine performance.
It's not her fault.
It's just she is coming on
lines.
Him. She needs to sing that way. And like, look, guys, they are on a 30-foot yacht. Mm-hmm. Which it's a sizable yacht, but all things considered, when all 4 people are on the top of the boat and no one's below, they're within 3 feet of each other at any given moment.
So
when they're like flirting, when
yeah.
With like they're not who they're supposed to be flirting with, it's like, what are you doing?
There's a scene.
Your wife is 3 feet away.
Yes, there's a scene where like
looking at you disapprovingly.
There is literally a scene where like you're Hurley, I'm Sean Penn, and he's smoking, and they're going. He's like, She's like over where that guitar is, so she's like 2 feet away.
She's literally here.
And you go what? Yeah, and it's just a little further, and you you go like maybe okay, world of the movie. You're saying this is gonna happen. Sean Penn gets up or something. The camera pans up, and Josh Lucas is like hanging from the bow, just like he's like right here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's fucking insane.
It is
so ridiculous. Like it. Oh my gosh. So yeah. So we cut to.
It's just like it's supposed to be this like sexually like charged environment, but I'm like, it's like why isn't any? It's that thing in like dumb horror movies.
Yeah. Where
I love horror movies. What I can't stand is when a horror movie is like, why are you having that person? You're only making that character make that decision because you're a lazy writer. Yeah. And there was a lot of that in the film where I'm like, I
can't care about these characters anymore.
Braveheart girl should have been saying a multitude of things. Josh Lucas too, at any given moment, because what is happening on screen is so incredibly inappropriate.
Yeah. The script, again, this is literally the performances. There's nothing wrong with them. The script forced me not to care about these characters.
It actively worked against the performance. It was like,
and they're trying.
The performances are so good that you're like, okay, I'm going to give it a shot.
Yeah.
But that script is like, no, I don't want you to care.
What they do makes no sense, and what they don't do makes no sense. She comes on and she goes and she's in voiceover. That we get dual voiceover, and it's an interesting thing. Sometimes Kathryn McCormick's voiceover is over her part. Sometimes Sarah Polley's voiceover is over Sarah Polley's part. Then they kind of switch. They kind of come back and forth. It's kind of interesting. Early on, she has this voiceover. So Rich is Josh Lucas's character. She goes, Rich introduced us to his new girlfriend. I didn't know he was bringing anyone. Which, from your perspective, as her brother, makes perfect sense. She says that. She goes, Rich, but as her brother-in-law, she goes, Rich introduced us to his new girlfriend. I didn't know he was bringing anyone. And I go, that's a weird thing to say. It's a weird thing to say. It's weird to be like, because that implies like, he's got a girlfriend. You know, it's like, well, what the fuck do you care? Like that's
so on the nose.
It's incredibly on the nose. That's
why my brain went to and I must have just completely missed that line. But like I remember because is that like when they're getting on the boat?
Yes.
Like I remember that, and then I remember the hug, and it was that moment that I was like, oh okay. Yeah. I was like,
because otherwise,
I knew I missed something, and I was like, oh okay, I'm gonna try to piece it. Okay, well the way they're acting and with what she just said, that's when I was like, oh, they're brother sister.
Yeah, because it had to be, or there's definitely some closeness, and it's just they play. And the other thing is, and we'll get to this later. It never culminates in anything. It kind of does. It doesn't. But it doesn't. It doesn't. And when it doesn't, it kind of feels like the movie's trying to go like mysterious, right? I go, no.
It tried to do the what lies beneath.
You wrapped up everything,
and it didn't. It like tried to.
So ridiculous.
It just went for a weird supernatural thing, like at the end that didn't work, and felt. I was just like, a lot of it just felt really lazy, and yet I was also like, I put it on the scriptwriter, not the book, because I was like, I bet this book, and I bet it's a thick book. I was like, there's probably a nice novel here. Yeah. But you can see it getting chopped to pieces. Oh yeah. And I'm talking about like they're hitting notes that I'm like, well, we got to put this in because the book's there. Like when she wakes up in the morning and Sean Penn's sleeping next to her, and he's like, I just can't sleep on this boat. And it was just like the way he said it and everything. I was like, why did you even? I was like, I bet there's like a whole chapter about how he can't sleep on the boat and it's causing him to become ornery, blah.
Book is 288 pages. Oh, that's not much. The lady who wrote this script also wrote Silkwood. Yeah, it's like this on paper. It's a great team. It's a great team.
What's Silkwood?
Silkwood is a Meryl Streep movie, and it was about an activist who was murdered.
Oh, that hack Meryl Streep. Because of last week. I torched her.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's true.
I like her.
She deserves it.
She's amazing.
There's the part where they pull up the boat, and she goes, and they have that whole thing, and Josh Lucas comes down and goes, hey,
Yeah.
How y'all doing? And he's like, and you just go like, okay, cool. And then Elizabeth Hurley walks out and goes, hello. and then I'm sorry. I'm not trying to. I hope
it's just
but
an
the
accurate
movie's doing it.
representation of just
The
like,
movie's
hello.
doing it. But and then she goes, oh, this is my husband, Thomas. And it swings over. It cuts to Sean Penn, who, because of the way the wind is blowing, his hair looks like a fucking Muppet. He looks like something from the Dark Crystal. And everyone else is beautiful.
So good looking that
he goes, hey, and I go, oh.
He looked like a little sewer rat. And there
was fair.
But dressed in like his dad's
like Al Pacino clothes.
Human dad's clothing.
yeah, it's
Al Pacino
exactly right.
clothes. Yeah.
Because it's this baggy 90s shit.
It was baggy 90s Al Pacino clothes. That's
Imagine
exactly
an episode of The Californians that's placed entirely in that tiny yacht. Devin, what are you doing here? I mean, it's kind of that.
It is kind of like that.
Because that's the thing, is half of this movie is this sort of like, this very kind of like, trying to be realistic, but also kind of like it's interesting. That part of the movie, the Sarah Polley part of the movie.
Yeah. Like
when you go like, oh, it's 2 movies. You should have split it up. You go, no, it's 2 movies. You definitely, if you're gonna make one of them, make that one.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it is so trashy. It's such a fucking B movie. It's such a Showtime.
But it's a B movie.
But then it starts to do other stuff, and you go, cool. But you already were a B movie earlier.
It's a B movie trying to be an art house movie.
I know.
Like, about like infidelity and
yeah.
and you know and jealousy and lust. And
it's like Wild Things or something.
Yeah, like the parameters of like
not even
matriarchal relationship, and it's like all these things that are interesting and you should have a whole movie devoted to them.
But not this one.
But not this one. No. And not directed by Kathryn Bigelow. And it's not even that she did a bad job. It's just like it's 2 movies in 2 hours and it doesn't work.
It's not. Yeah. Again, it's not. It's not her. It's not her fault in terms of the technical stuff. It's not her fault in terms of directing it. It's the fault is going. Cool. This is ready to be a movie.
Yeah, it's the script, and then I mean, you do have to put blame at her feet because she agreed to make it.
That's it, and that's where I go. I want to go. Why? Where did this come from? Yeah, Sean Penn gets up looking like a fucking Muppet, like a cast member from Cats. He just like, gosh, what is it? Yeah, he's got his little mustache.
There was a shot of him where. Just because of like it was a close up of him, it was like at sunset, but like he was beautifully lit.
Yeah.
And yet the close up was so crystal clear that I couldn't help but notice how gross that mustache was. Because it was like a non-mustache. It was like a mustache that just wouldn't commit to his face. Like it was so
little fringe of.
Oh, it was nasty. It was like a little caterpillar.
I mean,
his mustache sucks. Yeah, it did.
I mean, it's like sweet and low down mustache. It's really I don't know. Like, I mean, whatever. And
it doesn't help how cool he's being. I'm like,
Sean Penn is cool.
Don't be cool with that mustache because it makes you look like a dick. Let's look at what this is.
Kathryn Bigelow modeling in a Gap.
Oh.
So she was a model? Yeah, she looks kind of like a combination of Elizabeth Hurley and Catherine McCormick.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
She looks like Fonzie.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Just listen to this. Like I knew I was going to forget. Like, so they go down. She's right. Like, she's like, we have to go down to the place. I have to go to the place where the cabin was. And do you think this is where the whatever
at night?
No, like earlier.
They
go they go around the rocks. And she's like,
this
is where the rocks were, and blah 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 blah. And then she's like, oh, interesting. No. And then Sean Penn's like, oh, whatever. And then Elizabeth Hurley's
constantly smoking.
Yeah, and Elizabeth Hurley is like, like they spend 2 hours. Everyone in this in this half of the cast spends 2 fucking hours shooting meaningful glances at each other after anyone does anything. Like, Sean Penn goes over and goes, hey, Elizabeth Hurley. And she goes, you like my boobs? And he goes, And then it goes, and Kathryn McCormick's like that. And then it comes over to Josh Lucas, who looks at her looking at him. And then, and then he looks over at Elizabeth Hurley, looking at, and it's just like, and it's fine.
And it cuts away, it cuts back, and then
but it does that.
Like, do you like my boobs? And he's like, Dylan Thomas. He's like, oh, I love your boobs.
Yeah. The whole fucking movie, though. The whole movie, like it's ridiculous. And then and then they go down to the thing. Kathryn McCormick is gathering her whatever, reading her stuff, and she's like, "This is where it happened. This is where whatever." And they kind of
what the fuck was that about? What was that about? When I did not. Like
and then
that.
she just leaves.
When she's like, "This is where it happened. She died here, and the other one died here."
Yeah.
And I'm like, how the fuck do you know that?
Because she's a photographer, dude.
How the fuck would you know that? Because the house isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not like the structure of the house is still there and like everything else burned away.
And it cuts out, there's chalk outlines.
You're in a fucking green field and she's like, she died here. And I'm like, are you trying to establish like, which
she's
I
connected
guess.
to it.
Right, which was them trying to feebly try to suggest that she has some sort of supernatural connection to the beyond or to
Which
this
is what
case.
the music is telling us.
Which is what the music is and the looks on her face because she's like, she died here.
And again, she's doing a good job of it.
Real long, yeah.
But yeah.
But she does this other real long look where she goes, she died here. And I was like, okay. Maybe, because the geography of that scene is not laid out well. So I'm just not sure what's happening. And then, but then she goes like, she takes a long pause.
Yeah.
She's like, and the other one died here. And she looks mortified that she has that information in her brain. Like, and she's like, I don't know how. And you think it's going to go, okay, I'm like, okay, so we're going to go that route with it. Fine. I'll jump on board for that. We're going to do, the case is speaking to you from the beyond. Excellent. No. until
no.
90 minutes later at the very end, when for X, Y, and Z reasons, she ends up, there's a storm and she ends up falling off the boat and she goes to save Sean Penn, who goes to save Adeline, which we'll need to break that down because I got very confused based off some of the things that were said before everyone fucking jumped off the boat.
Yes.
Anyway, she gets underwater and she finds Sarah Polley.
Well, first she finds Vanessa Shaw. You think it's Sarah Polley. She grabs the hair and pulls it up, and it's one of the other girls who was murdered.
I didn't get that.
Then she looks up, and Sarah Polley's up there just looking at her.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
But
I didn't get that.
But it's not the only time. She sees Sarah Polley earlier. She sees Sarah Polley. She has like hallucinations. She has like flashes of it.
Really?
Yeah. There's like another. I can't remember exactly where.
I'm gonna be real honest. I watched this not fully committed.
Yeah, gotcha.
I was on my phone a lot.
Yeah. They need to be like, Elizabeth Hurley might take her shirt off again. Do you want to watch?
And I was like, honestly, this movie's so dull. I don't really want to.
I know. It is dull. It's unfortunate. So so she's going like, I'm connected to this, and she goes, she died here, and she died there, and everyone kind of goes like, whatever. Then she walks off.
Like, what are you doing?
The three of them are still there, and Josh Lucas turns to, and it's playing that fucking music. It's like,
I think this is a 2-hour movie. Like, almost exactly. I think there's music for about 90 minutes of it.
Oh, at least, yeah. And then Josh Lucas. Kathryn, she starts walking. She walks past them. And Josh Lucas looks over at Sean Penn, and goes, so, Adeline was hoping you might read to us from your work, whatever you're working on now. And I go, okay, all right, movie. You're just everything is setting everything up, and he goes,
so weird.
It's just like you just go like, that's too fucking obvious. You're just like, cool. There's jealousy here. He knows that like she's whatever, that she kind of likes him or whatever, and then she's like off in the corner, not wearing a bra.
Can we talk about this though? Because where does Josh Lucas? All right, let's just get into this right now. What are the nature of all four people? What are the nature of the relationships between Marie McCormick and Josh Lucas?
They, I guess, have always liked it. There's always been an attraction.
Is that established in the movie?
That No one says anything.
Aside from the,
everything. Oh, yeah.
Well, no, I know that, but I'm like, did I miss something? Like, did they do it?
So let's get to that later. But
okay.
But it's suggested that maybe they did or maybe they didn't. He goes and she goes off in a fucking life raft by herself to go take pictures in the dark. He shows up and she goes, "Where are you?" She goes, "Oh." He has no shirt on.
Oh, when she's crying out.
Yeah, he goes, "You look like you were crying." And she's like, "No, I wasn't."
Swam to the island
because he was worried about her.
Because he was worried about her.
And then
which is weird.
And then like
again, why I thought they were brothers.
He comes over, then he looks at her, and he does this to her several times, where they're talking, and he just kind of dabs her hair away from her face.
Yeah.
And you're like, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
Can't do that. And
she's
then
constantly walking past him in the boat because it's tight quarters.
Yeah, and there's a moment,
and like brushing his stomach.
She puts his hand on his chest, and the look on his face, which is like, again, not the actor. This is the director. She's this is whatever. It's like it's not at all a mistake. She goes she's about to touch him, and he's kind of like, and then he reacts to it, and she's like this, and he kind of like, not like that. He just kind of is like that, and there's like a sexual moment between. There's like a sensual moment between them, and she walks off, and then he turns around and gets this kind of like, and then he like goes to look at what she's looking at. This is a weird moment, and he kind of gets this like weird look on his face, and I go, cool, I'll find out what that was later. Nope.
I know exactly what movie.
So much weird shit in this movie that just doesn't. It's like shit was cut out of this movie. It's like the movie was 4 hours long and they just went chop.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Ducks?
Okay.
Sorry.
Before I lose my train of thought, though,
there's always been an interaction with them between them. There just has been because
can we talk about the sex thing, or why do you want to save that?
Just because. Yeah.
Here's my next question.
Yeah.
Before Elizabeth Hurley falls off the boat in the third act.
Falls. That's interesting.
Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah.
We'll unpack that, too. She says...
yes.
Fuck. What does she say? Fuck, I just lost it.
Yeah. Well...
She says, Thomas always spoke about you.
Yeah. She goes, I wanted to
spoke so highly of you.
There's this
and then
thing.
She gets knocked off the boat, falls off the boat. Maybe Maureen McCormick knocks her off the boat.
She definitely does. I had to rewind it because...
Okay, because they play it and they try to be ambiguous about it.
Yeah.
But she did it?
She did.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. So,
that's super fucked up.
So, first of all, murder. We're coming to... In both of these storylines, we've been...
That's murder and not justified whatsoever given the scenario.
100%. That's where I go, all right, you're not a real character, or I have to disavow you completely. Yeah. I just have to disconnect, or you're fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't live on and have a child.
No.
Because, what the fuck? At least narratively in the
story,
whatever.
Petty jealousy over 48 hours.
It's fucking murder.
That went from petty jealousy and some slight inconvenience to straight murder. Oh, that doesn't work at all.
It's ridiculous.
Okay.
Because these storylines start, and we are headed in both storylines toward something, which sounds a lot more fucking edge of your seat and tense and enjoyable than it is.
Oh, boy.
At some point, Mary McCormick talks to Sean Penn, and she goes, "Something's coming. I know something's going to happen."
Mm-hmm.
And we go, "Okay, cool." So we're heading towards something. And then the Sarah Polley storyline, we're getting this story, and we're building to the moment where we're actually going to see who committed the murder.
Right.
Bam, 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 bam. We get to the night of the murder. There's a storm in Sarah Polley's timeline. There's a storm in their timeline. They're on the boat. Mm-hmm. There's a big storm. All of this stuff has come to a head. Elizabeth Hurley has not flirted with Sean Penn. She has all but just given him a handy.
Sure.
It's like
she does something with a piece of ice.
It's ridiculous.
That I was like,
she goes,
I was like, that is, oh, come on.
Like if you were in a strip club and a stripper was doing it to you, you'd be like, ease up.
Tone it down.
I know I paid.
She literally is sucking on a piece of ice.
It cuts to her mouth, and and he goes, "Is that a piece of ice in her mouth?" And then you're just like, okay.
And she's putting it in and putting it out.
And then she does this.
And then she literally takes it and rubs it over her nipple.
Yeah. Down
the side of her stomach, over her butt, and then back up, and then back into.
But the reveal is crazy.
And Sean Penn is right there, and Sean Penn's wife in the movie is literally 5 feet that way.
And so many times on this boat,
all this happen.
So many times on this boat, it ends up being Josh Lucas and Mary McCormick are over here. Sean Penn and Elizabeth Hurley. The first time that happened, I go, all right, they have to do it. Fucking the whole movie.
Yeah.
Whole movie, she's paired up with him. He's paired up for no fucking reason. And then like, so it starts on her and she's doing this and she's like, and then she's like in and out with the thing. I'm like, this is insane. And then she like, and I go, and we're gonna cut to Sean Penn being right there for some fucking reason. And she kind of goes down here. They don't reveal that. They cut to him and he's like, and he looks over. Then she goes. Then she looks at him. She looks at him, does this, and you go like, oh, okay, this is ridiculous. Oh, he's looking. And then you cut down. You realize she's fucking topless.
Yeah.
And you go, well, good on him for not looking until then.
Yeah.
Like what the heck? And then she does this, and you go like, well, she's in wonderful shape. My goodness. And then she comes back up and goes like, yeah. And you go like,
and it is that. It really is that.
And it's not a bad performance. She's directed to do it. It's insane.
Yeah, she does it well.
Yeah.
Like she does it where I'm like, that's not like
she plays the devil in the remake of
Bedazzled. Yeah.
And you go, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why she keeps getting like she's not a bad actress. I think she just keeps getting plopped into these fucking sex bomb roles.
She does a great job the whole movie. But like with that moment,
being asked to do, it's ridiculous.
It's like there's no other way to take that moment except for I want to fuck you.
Oh yeah.
Like there's nothing else. There's no ambiguity any longer, and it happens so early on.
Yeah.
And then for it not to further ramp up in any meaningful way, really.
I mean, it's like the thing.
Nothing happens between Sean Penn and her. Well, okay. I don't know if that's true. Yeah. Because here's my other question. And it goes back to what she says when she's like, Thomas told me so much about you, and then she knocks him off the boat. She met, I think it's Maureen McCormick when oh my god, this is
they met her. They met each other.
For such a close quarters movie, this is so convoluted.
Yeah, they've never met. She met Mary McCormick when she stepped on the boat.
Right.
Yes.
So when they're like at dinner one night, and it's just the two of them talking.
No, this is during the storm.
Okay.
Unless you're talking about...
I think I might be talking about a second
Sorry, go ahead. I'll shut up.
Relates back. But there's a moment where one of them is talking. It's just the two of them, the two women, and they're talking back and forth. And then someone is... one of them talks about... Oh, no, it's Maureen McCormick talking about Sean Penn. He's like, she died.
Yeah. He's like, he killed a girl.
He killed a girl.
And she goes,
she's like,
what?
I don't understand. And he's like... She's like, and she kind of ignores it. She's like, I don't understand. And then she kind of tells Elizabeth Hurley all about what happened and his poetry and how that's what his Pulitzer Prize winning poetry is about. As she's talking about this, it kind of cuts to a flashback.
Yes.
But it's like
of that event.
But I'm like, okay, but it's in black and white, which at this point has only been seen kind of through Maureen McCormick's eyes.
I totally forgot about that.
And so I'm like, is this a flashback or a dream sequence? Because we're so muddled in terms of flashbacks and two plot lines, and it's like flashbacks within flashbacks, and like you're just like, I don't know what's going on. So when it cuts to she's talking about Sean Penn and the girl, and then it cuts to a flashback. As she continues to speak.
Kind of an illustration of that story, yeah.
And it's Sean Penn in the driver's seat, and it cuts to the girl, it's Elizabeth Hurley.
Right.
And I was like, what?
And so,
what does that mean? And then they just don't address it, and then at the end, right before she gets knocked off the boat, she says, Thomas has told me so much about you. You're the reason why I came.
I wanted to meet you.
Because
Thomas has told me about you, yeah.
And this is why I wanted to get on the boat.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
And then you don't get to find out. Like, they don't address it because then Maureen McCormick just knocks her off the boat because that meant something to her. What? I'm not entirely sure. Let's talk about it.
So that flashback
is real?
Is, to me, Elizabeth Hurley imagining that story. As that's what
Boy, that doesn't work.
I mean, it's like, yeah, I know. It's weird, but that's the only thing it can be.
I agree. But what does the line of dialogue mean? I don't know.
That line of dialogue means that Elizabeth Hurley and Sean Penn have been having an affair.
What?
That's what it has to mean.
Okay.
Because
let's say that's true.
Because that is what drives her to do that.
So let's say that's true. Now I'm replaying the whole movie if that's true. Okay, that does make sense. She is not tactful.
No.
Whatsoever.
That's the thing. The things that because like we talked about that ice cube
just
thing.
all icing up
and she's
my
like,
kit.
and she goes, she's doing it. And she's going like this, and she goes, "It makes it harder." I'm like, all right, and then like yeah, it's just like because she just
Jesus.
like dude that fucking like that's the most like ridiculous part. Is she's like wop 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 now around the areola and then like whatever.
Yeah.
But like every other scene is no more subtle. Like she's just constantly she's going oh this and this, and they start quoting poetry to this. She's like, I just feel like all the great poets this and this and this blah 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 blah, and you're this, and then she quotes him to her. They start by talking about poetry. She's quoting poetry, he quotes some poetry, she quotes poetry back at him. Mary McCormick lets us know, she goes, you're making him blush or something. No one quotes him to him or something.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, so that's his poetry. And he goes, I just think all the greats. And to be true, like to be truthful, like I understand that this is a good novel because there are lines that I'm like, that's a good line. That's good writing.
Yes.
But they're just
there's some poetic shit in this movie.
Yes, and they're just here and here and here, and then the movie goes on.
Yeah.
And you go, but I don't care that you said that poetic thing because you're acting like a fucking insane person.
Yeah.
And he has this nice line where he goes, I think all the great poets, hold on, I think all the great poets, I can't, but he goes, I think all the great poets wrote words in ways that you can't take them back. And I go, that's a nice line. He cuts to Elizabeth Hurley and she goes, yeah, they did. I go, okay. And she just like,
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I just go like, oh, okay. But we're going like, and like I wrote it down. It's like cool. We're establishing that they connect on poetry, so it's okay if they bone. Like that's what you're trying to tell me, movie. Like not really, but you're just going like, see.
Well,
and then like Mary McCormick
I
just likes Josh Lucas because he's hot, and he just likes her because she's hot. Like whatever.
Nothing was remotely clear in that section of the movie, the present day stuff.
Yeah.
Where they tried to like intentionally blur the lines of like motivations for people as if that was realistic, but it's like it just led to be very confusing and convoluted to the point that I was just like not invested like it would have helped so much more if there were clear lines of like they're boning.
Yeah.
And Maureen McCormick doesn't know about it. And Josh Lush, they don't know about
it.
And they're hiding that.
But yeah.
And then there's your tension on the boat.
I know.
But they were like, no, we can't give that to you outright. And I'm like, but you should have.
Yeah.
And then
she's just going to be like, oh, we're not boning.
But I'm still going to be icing my boob.
And you go, well, I think you're
we're going to play it real ambiguous.
Yeah.
And it's like you're trying to have it both ways. And then on top of that, now knowing that the relationship between Josh Lucas and Maureen McCormick is what it is, I'm like, okay, so you were jealous of her, but like way you're touching Josh Lucas
and looking at him constantly,
is
it's exactly the same thing.
It's the exact same thing.
Yeah, you're just being
frankly more conniving about it.
Yeah, and not and like you're being an adult about it. Here's the thing, like
you're just smarter, you're being more subtle about it, but you're doing the exact same thing.
The shit that Elizabeth Hurley does, like like culminating, like that being the whatever. Like if you were somewhere, not even with your wife, not even attached. Like if someone was doing that and acting that way, I'd be like, I can tell you're interested. You're also fucking insane.
Yeah.
You are crazy.
Yeah.
I am not getting involved because you're nuts.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other. That's
why
I can't believe. But like, if that is the case, that they had a prior relation, if Sean Penn and Elizabeth Hurley had a prior relationship to the boat,
I think they have a current relationship. Right?
Okay, so let's say that's true. If that is the case, if I'm Sean Penn, I'm gonna be fucking furious that my mistress is glazing her tit with frozen water 4.5 feet from my wife.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, fucking chill out and not that way. Yeah. Like, calm down.
Because like
I'd be like, fucking cool it, bitch. That's all I could be. I'd be like, what are you doing? Like, do you want this to continue? Because, and the fact that so if that is true, the fact that they didn't show a scene, but again, it was like they were like they put this restriction on themselves. It was like, we're gonna try to string this along where no one knows what everyone's motive. I'm like, that's
but everyone
terrible.
knows.
Everyone knows, and yet you're still trying to be
intentional.
You're restricting your narrative. Like, you're telling us, but then you're having your characters like you're not showing us. You're not showing Sean Penn grabbing her and pulling her aside in the middle of the night and being like, "What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
stop.
Yeah,
you can't do that."
Yeah, and it's supposed to be a reveal, and honestly, it is a reveal because like like you're exactly right. Like if they were having an affair, they wouldn't act like that.
Yeah,
unless she's a sadist, unless she's crazy.
Right.
And then later, but she's not, because later they have that conversation, and the times that we get to talk to her, we're supposed to. The movie wants us to have empathy for her. She has that conversation with Kathryn McCormick where she tells her that story, and she goes, "Why are you telling me all this?" And she goes, "Don't you want to hear it?" And it's like, ooh, and we feel bad for her. But then I go, "Okay, you're a normal person." No, you're not. No, you're not. You've been doing that. That whole boat ride.
It makes her performance much less interesting to me now.
It just seems uneven, and it seems like a bad director.
Because and again, it's not her. It's like, it seems like bad direction. Where I'm like, if that's true, which it sounds like it is, like that all makes sense to me. It's just confounding to me that they went about it the way they went about it.
And she goes, and you go like, okay, like you go, well, cool, I'm having empathy for you, but I can't. Or I just have to detach that. I have to chalk it up to it's bad when you have to do like suspension of disbelief in terms of like the changing tone of a movie. You have to go like, I have to forget that happened if I'm going to take this seriously.
Right.
And it's like, that doesn't work. But you go, oh, I'm okay. So you're a normal person. I should feel for you. I can't because of all the crazy shit you've been doing, flirting with her husband. And then you go like, you were doing that and you've been sleeping with him? You're a terrible person.
Yeah, you're in a legit psychotic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which like, I don't even like thinking about that makes me go like, well, it almost seems like they're not, but that's all that line can mean.
And so wait a minute.
That's all that line can mean.
When she goes, I agree, but it confused the hell out of him because like that's all it can mean.
And it drives her to. I mean, it's just crazy.
So now, okay, so if that's true, so they're having an affair together. He's having an affair with his brother's girlfriend. Right. They make sure to address the fact that Josh Lucas says at some point, he's like, "Oh, you know me. I can never be tied down. I'm not serious about anyone."
And he goes, and that's the scene where they have
to make it okay that relation, like that's what I'm analyzing from that line now. Yeah. It's like, oh, to make their relationship okay.
It means that Josh Lucas knows. That conversation, in retrospect, because we find out later, she has that line later where she's like, "I wanted to meet you because Thomas has told me so much about you." That conversation between the brothers is Josh Lucas and Sean Penn kind of acknowledging that he knows. Because
why did they go on this boat trip?
It's ridiculous.
What
they did it for her. They did it for Kathryn McCormick. She asked to do it. It's so stupid.
It is insane that they would go on this boat trip.
But he has that line where he goes. Josh Lucas is like, I can't. He says something about like I can't remember what prompts Sean Penn to say it, but Sean Penn goes like, talent excuses cruelty, and he goes, genius excuses cruelty. You've got talent. There's plenty of talented assholes in the world. You go like, good line.
That is great.
But in retrospect, because you're going like, what has he done? Wait, because you go, yeah. Then you go like, wait. But my brain starts going like, what has he done that's so cruel to Mary McCormick? Because up to that point, Elizabeth Hurley has been going, is this the table? Do you want them? I've got, also, hold on. I've got a little more down here. I don't know if is that, you can do it. It's just, she just like, legs behind her ears, and she goes, I like poetry. Do you want to fucking me with your poetry? It's pretty well written. But like, because she's been throwing herself at him, is a quicker way to say that. Yeah. And Sean Penn's just kind of been going,
yeah,
and then not doing anything. So like, because up until that point, you go like, well, what's he supposed to do? He's not going for it. He's looking a couple times, which like there's a human being
she's
doing,
rubbing her.
He's like, her vagina's right here, and he's like,
I honestly,
she's rubbing it on his face, and he's like, you should probably, maybe you should move it. Hold on, let's talk about poetry. And she's like,
This is weird.
And then he's like, "Do you want me to trim it up?" But
there's no shower on this boat either.
But he goes, but you go like, what has he done that's so cruel? But then in context of like the fact that they're having an affair and they both know it, that's what that's
because
about.
like the entire time I was like, it made me not like Maureen McCormick because I'm like, he's not. I mean, for all things considered, he's playing it pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. And you're definitely attracted to Josh Lucas and looking at him through your thing and whatever. Like you guys have to have a conversation. But he's not the asshole and you're not the saint until you find out.
That's crazy because like I mean like I was distracted during this movie, but like I still paid attention.
Yeah.
So the fact that I didn't get any of that, is I mean clearly I knew to ask questions because I was like that line doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But like the fact that that's not, it's like you have 2 movies in 2 hours. And the fact that you're playing this ambiguous shit in one of them.
And then also this obvious shit on the other side of the same story.
And it's as if that either one of those is helpful in any way.
It's not.
Like,
yeah, and it's not.
That is so confusing to me because that is a choice that they chose. Like they intentionally were like, okay, let's play it this way. Here are the facts. You know, Sean Penn and Elizabeth Hurley have a relationship. Maureen McCormick suspects. Josh Lucas probably knows, but hasn't confronted. Yeah. These are the facts, but like, let's not address. Let's have them all act that way, but not say it in any meaningful, concrete way throughout the entire movie, all the way up to the end.
And they're just gonna look at each other with sax music playing, where they go,
because that does make more. So okay, so when they're in the
she's
archives,
still not in her good.
Okay, so when they go at one point they go to the archives, so she can get more information on the 1873 murders, and she's alone in there, and then the lights go off, and then Sean Penn appears, and he's like, hey, blah 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 blah, and then he tries to bone her in the archive.
Yeah, and you go, oh, this is gonna go well.
This is gonna go great. And then, whoop, she's not into it.
Because she goes, I can't hear. I can't hear. Here, not here, but all this stuff happened. And he's like
frustrated, but trying to be cool about it. And then...
And she goes, it's not you, it's me.
Like, just hold me. And he hugs her.
Yeah.
So, she couldn't...
Because...
I took that at face value because I was like, this is a weird scene to include. Because, it's just like, I didn't know what to make of that scene. Because I was like, okay, so you're having trouble in the bedroom in your marriage? Maybe that's...
I don't know that you can...
You're jealous because he's been looking, leering at this other woman on the boat. But now you're telling me that it's because she knows?
I don't think she knows. Also, but there is a line in that previous conversation between him and Josh Lucas where he goes, she knew what she was getting into when she married me. So maybe she, but I still don't think.
This isn't the first time.
I think that she has this because narratively we're saying that she gets that piece of information that they've been having an affair.
Yes.
And she goes up. Elizabeth Hurley goes out. She tries to help her. Elizabeth Hurley she's like, no, Elizabeth Hurley, you need a jacket. Yeah. Whatever, and then she goes over. She sees and I had to rewind it. She sees the whatever it is.
Oh yeah, they play it like.
And then she
considers it for sure.
But then there is a phrase. She goes like this. She puts her hand on a line.
Yeah.
And to me, she pulls it, and like I'm almost certain.
But they play it like that is there.
Yeah.
Like all the beats are there, but I felt like they did it. They cut it in just such a way.
That you can't quite tell.
Did she do it?
Because it's either.
Did she try to not prevent it?
That's it. So to me, I went back and looked at it and I go, oh, she put her on. That's what it is. You're right. They don't show much of that. They don't really. And I go, it's okay. To me, my interpretation was like the movie is telling me she did that.
I kind of think so too.
But at the very least, the way this is in the performance and the cutting. And the amount that they hold on her, she looks, and at the very least, they're saying she knew that it could happen and didn't prevent it. Yeah. And that's what the movie told me. But I also was like, what do you mean couldn't prevent it? She's She's close to her. She's gotten over there. She's doing everything she possibly could do. She couldn't, like, the only thing she could do is get over there, grab her, and pull her back. There's not enough time for that. What can she do? She can't. If she goes over there, she's going to get hit too. It's like, it played it that way. But then I was like, but then it goes, dun, dun, hand on the thing. Because it's not important at that point to tell me that she's holding on to something. That's not what it is. It's this. I think she pulled it and whatever. I don't know if there's a mechanism. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think you're right. I just think it's fucking crazy.
It is crazy.
I think it's a crazy thing to do.
And I go, boop, there goes your character.
Yeah.
I don't care about your character anymore because you just murdered a woman.
You murdered a woman.
Who just implied that she's been having an affair with your husband, who's been flirting with your husband openly, but you have been, we know, harboring very strong feelings for her.
Yeah, you don't
and she
seem
goes,
at all interested in your husband.
There's a line where she goes, it was my mistake. I thought we could mix business with pleasure. And it goes to a shot of Josh Lucas. She wanted to go be there with, like, that's the pleasure she's talking about. It's crazy. And I go, well, you're a shitty person. Or you're not, whatever. People feel what they feel. But I'm like, you tried to kill a woman for doing the same. What the fuck?
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's really crazy. Trying to find a video of Sean Penn sparking a butt at that awards. Discovery did the same thing on Colbert. Here's any microfiche action of the archives. Here's something. I started laughing when you said that because you mentioned like when she goes to do research, and I go, which time? If you're making 2 movies and they take place in 2 timelines, the way to tell that one part is one side of your movie, that one of the dual timelines is more interesting than the other, is that like 60% of one is spent just reading about the other one. That's it. Like she's just going like. Then I go, well, you're reading it.
Like, what are you doing over there, babe? He's like, I'm reading about a far more interesting tale.
I go, well, then bump us over to the other one then. And cut back on the
cross dissolve.
Yeah, like if you've got 2 storylines and
that's what they should have done. He's like, you know what? When she goes to the library, just like when it cuts to the paper, just cross dissolve into that narrative and just stay there.
Yeah.
And at the end, come back and like.
That's like if in Pulp Fiction, in some of the stories, the last 5-6 minutes of the segments were them reading the script and being like, oh, there's some good shit coming up. Yo, did you know Bruce Willis is in this movie? And you're like, then just bump me over there, man. I don't want you to read about the other fucking half. It's ridiculous.
So.
And that's the other thing is like, gosh darn it. Like, oh man, there's so many things. There's so many.
It's just like, this is the type of stuff, like I'm writing right now. I'm not writing, but I'm attempting to write a movie. And I keep getting very frustrated with myself because I'm like, that's not on a cinematic level.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll keep running into these blocks where I'm like, well, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
But that's not the cinematic way.
Right.
Like, that's fucking boring
to
do it that way.
Yeah.
That would solve all my problems, but that's gonna be an obvious weak link.
Yes. And 2 seconds into that beat, the audience goes, oh, I get it.
Yes.
And then you go, but we got to play the rest of it out because it doesn't make sense.
I know. And then you're committed to it, and like that's what this. And I see it in movies all the time, and like it's so frustrating to me because I'm like, I watch a movie like this, and I'm like, well, I'm like, should I just fucking do it? But I'm like, no, but this movie sucks. Yeah. It's terrible.
Yeah. It's never it's never the good part of those movies.
Right.
There are good ways to, I mean, I don't know. I've seen things that people have done a million times done in a new way.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But like, yeah, there's a fucking, hold on. I know I'm jumping in. There's the first, so it cuts to her, Mary McCorkey. She's got and Josh Lucas is jumping off. Josh Lucas jumps off boats shirtless a lot in this movie. And it cuts to Mary McCormick, and she's going.
I kind of want to go back and watch it again now.
You don't.
Because I can't.
You don't though. But you, yeah, I know.
But it's like I feel like I missed so much of what this movie was because I thought they were brother and sister.
Yeah.
For the first hour and a half.
Which would pair really nicely with the other storyline. But too nicely.
Way more sense because that's what I thought was happening.
Actually, it makes more sense. Yeah,
it does make more sense.
Then it marries them together a bit better.
Well, let's talk about that. So in the 1873 plot line, as you know, we think it's Louis Wagner who is responsible because that's what Polly.
Sarah Polley's
character,
and
she says she's like he committed this murder. He tried to kill me. and then he's brought in.
And they play him as a bit of a creepy guy at first. He kind of makes a pass at Sarah Polly.
He makes several passes at her.
And she kind of is like interested, but maybe not. Then later he sexually assaults the brother's sister. The brother's wife.
So Sarah Polly's brother's wife.
He rapes a woman.
Yeah. And
so we're kind of like, okay, he's not a good dude.
And so at one point, like after that happens, she's like, I'd like to go to bed. It's like all the men are out like on the boat and they can't get back into shore in time. So the women have to spend a night alone in the cabin.
And she's there with her sister who sucks. Her sister's just a terrible bitch.
Yeah.
And sorry. Like I'm not being misogynistic. She just is.
That's the character
she is. Yeah. And she like has judged her the whole time, and she sucks. She's just really awful, and she's just terrible. She's terrible. She's like a wicked stepsister from Cinderella.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the sister-in-law, she gets scared. She's like, "Can I sleep?" She goes to Sarah Paul, and she's like, "Can I sleep in the bed with you?" She's like, "I don't think so," but she's like, "Okay, fine." They go to bed. Sister-in-law tries to. She's like, take your gown off.
She's lonely. She misses her husband.
I want to give you a massage. And she's like, I love you, but in like a sisterly
it's innocent
way. It's completely innocuous.
I mean, she is feeling that sort of thing, but she's also like, I'm not.
But Sarah Polly's character is so starved for love in any meaningful way.
Absolutely.
That this is more intimacy than she's had ever since she was a child.
Yeah.
And
it's a really nice performance in that.
It's a wonderful
moment. Great stuff.
And then the sister-in-law goes to sleep right next to her, right after giving her a massage. Still naked, Sarah Polly like leans over and kisses her, and right at that moment, her real sister comes into the room, sees her naked. She's like, "Oh, not again!" She's like, "I can't believe this is happening again." And it is revealed. She's like, "I thought bringing you to a new land would cure you of your sickness or whatever."
Yeah.
And it's revealed that Sarah Polly's character had a sexual relationship with her brother.
I think they did it once.
Yeah. But
she's been in love. She's in love with her brother.
With her own brother.
So she's been repressed that entire time while she's in a loveless marriage.
And she's in a loveless marriage, but really pine. And when her brother shows up to live with them,
she's like,
he shows up with a wife.
And she goes, oh. And then in true movie fashion, she goes, oh my goodness, I'm loving hugs. He goes, and this is my wife. And she goes, sister. And Sarah Polly goes, it's lovely to be here and meet you. And she goes, on to the next one. I didn't notice. And you're like,
I almost like, that actually didn't play for me because it would have been great if she had faked it.
Yeah.
And then the moment she walks
away.
But then
she walks off onto the pier, the camera comes in and lets her have that moment. I go, okay, we're really in a movie.
I know. And then it's revealed that she loves her. She's like in love with her brother, and is incredibly jealous of his relationship with his new wife.
Yeah.
And so when the sister comes in, sees her naked with the sister-in-law, we get that flashback. It all comes to a head, and so it's revealed that Sarah Polly is the one responsible for the 2 murders, and she framed it on the man who was
we've basically known for fucking an hour.
Which we've known since 5 minutes in.
Yeah,
like that was telegraphed.
Well,
the problem is that when you make that character the sole survivor, and then you're gonna make a mystery out of it, and you don't introduce new characters.
Yeah, there's no one else who could have done it.
Then I'm like, there's no one else it could be.
Because they also established that there's no one else on that island.
Yeah, it's a remote island. And so you're like, cool. So you know it. And so when it happens, you're like, yeah, I've been waiting literally 55 minutes for you to tell me that.
And to me the incestuous relationship is like that. You just know that forever. Like it's just it's
from the moment he arrives.
Yeah, I know.
And so and again, all that in a book, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'd read that. That's hot.
Yeah.
But it's so lumbersome.
Yeah.
In this movie that like, and it's so telegraphed with like its big twist.
Yeah.
And then ambiguous on the other end.
Yeah.
It's just like what you're so clear in what you're trying to do in one aspect, you're being deliberately opaque in another aspect in your other storyline.
Yeah.
and none of it works.
Yeah.
Because you also don't have time to devote to either one of these with enough effort. And
because you got to make the movie about the person who's watching the other movie.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Like, it's crazy. Like, this is one of those special movies. I really felt that I was just like, this really, like, some movies are like, that was a misfire.
Yeah.
This one doesn't
doesn't work.
It fundamentally, like, it structurally just does not work on a ground level. Its blueprint doesn't work.
I finished it, and I literally, because there are 2 screens here. I just wanted to say I had 2 screens. There are 2 screens here. I literally was like, I felt like I watched Wild Things and fucking The Crucible. Like I was like, I literally just watched 2 movies at the same time. Like I kept going.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Like that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, each of them kind of work in their way on their own. Mm-hmm. The Elizabeth Hurley, Sean Penn one works in that Wild Things way.
Right.
And this one works like Light Between Oceans, which is fine.
It's fine. It's just
like I go, but if you just do that movie, then
give me the look. I understand the appeal of being like, Bigelow's like, I'm gonna do this hyper repressed colonial, like I'm gonna repress all emotion, all sexuality, and that's gonna be one thread. On this other end, it's going to be a boat filled with people who want to fuck each other, but they can't. Yeah. So it's like this overt, like, repressed sexuality, but it's like brimming at the seams.
And making that comparison, comparison about how women are treated in society.
Awesome. I can completely understand there's a lot of meat on that bone that you could explore, and that's cool.
In a mini-series.
It's too much of a good thing. And, like, it's weird to me that Inblock said that this is only 288 pages, because I'm like, but apparently the book was good. I mean, New York Times bestseller, is that what you said?
I thought so. I can't remember what exactly
I kind of want to read the freaking book now, just because I'm like, I feel like there is something really compelling in there. Yeah. But I don't know, man. Like, and so, going back to the incestuous thing, it's revealed that the sister and the brother had a one-time relationship thing, and that she she pined for him for the rest of her life. Mm-hmm. And she mentions to him, and he goes, "Do you remember?" And I think Sarah Polley is great in this. Yeah, she's great. And he goes, "Of course, we shall not speak of it." And blah blah blah. Yeah. But that dovetailed into why I thought. And now that we're like talking this out, why it would have been more compelling for the two of Josh Lucas and Marie McCormick to be brother sister. It might have been far too on the nose.
Yeah.
In fact, it would have been way too on the nose.
It's kind of too on the nose anyway. It's like,
but it's already on. Yeah, exactly. It's already on the nose. So why not do that?
It's such a mess because it's like it's too on the nose, but there's not enough of a connection to justify both of these stories being in the same fucking movie. Like I go, cool. You're just
because like the thing that connects them is that it's like, well, she's investigating.
She's reading about it,
but she's really just reading about it.
It doesn't fucking matter. And she goes,
and then on top of that, she has like some sort of supernatural connection.
See,
that is not. They don't embellish it.
Yeah.
They don't commit to it. So it's like we're gonna have a couple looks with some eerie music to maybe think that she has like some she's connecting with Sarah Polley's character in some way.
Yeah.
And then tie that back at the end when she meets her underwater. But we're not gonna commit to that in any meaningful way.
Yeah.
And which is it's just cheap and lazy, and it's like you should either go for it, which can be interesting.
Yeah.
If you go for it, and just be like, cool, it's like a ghost thing. Fine. I love ghosts. I love ghost movies. Let's do it.
That's interesting.
But they didn't.
Yeah. Well, to me, it was just symbolizing her, like, I didn't think that, I thought she's kind of getting more obsessed with it. When they go and they start, Sean Penn is like, they start having sex in the thing, and she just goes, I can't, because she's in the place where this happened.
Oh, but that's
she's
bullshit,
too obsessed
with it. They didn't earn that. They didn't,
I know.
Like, it doesn't.
I know. They just had her act it. They were like, do it, but the script didn't have anything in it.
Right.
And it's just kind of like, nah, man. When the book came out, the Ozzy was 26 years old. I was trying to read up on it. It is, man. It's just.
Sean Penn puffs on an e-cigarette during live Clinton Global Initiative conference. God.
I think he's. Oh, yeah. What's up, Jess Popes?
He needs to stop those vape pens, man. They're no good. They're no good. I quit 2.5 weeks ago.
Just, oh my gosh. That's the thing. They just don't. So this thing about like, it's like, back to the boat, it feels like that thing in Jaws where you watch Jaws and then you hear the factoid that like in the book, Richard Dreyfuss and Roy Scheider's wife, those characters had an affair. And you go, interesting. And this feels like, and you go, oh, how interesting. I can imagine what that would be in the book. This feels like they didn't do it, but they didn't do that, but they just let them continue acting like it. Yes. And it's so fucking confusing.
It is so. I so desperately wanted.
You go like, well, you're to make just do it to just have them.
I wanted to be involved.
Yeah.
I was just I wanted to be on that boat, and I was just like, hey, can you just give me a layout of like what everybody. You don't like her?
Yeah.
You can tell me.
Yeah. Oh man, but it's so it's just because like, and the reason it's interesting when you hear that about Jaws because you go, oh, I didn't get a clue of that. You go, yeah, because we cut that storyline. This they go, we cut the storyline, but we like left. We just kind of we hinted. And I go, we can't. That is a big thing about those characters.
Yeah.
And I don't know a lot about any of these characters
like
except what they do.
Yeah, it's like a lot of motivations for what happens later in the movie, like for, murder.
Yeah. And I don't think they do. I don't think they've had a relationship. But it's like both characters. They're just kind of like, we're treating them like they're going to fuck, or they have fucked, they want to fuck, whatever. And then you kind of find out that like Elizabeth Hurley and Sean Penn like are fucking, and you're like, are they?
And then she later clearly pines for Josh Lucas, and I'm like, again, why is anyone going on this fucking boat in the first place?
It's ridiculous. And then she goes, and then like late in the movie, she hops on. She's just like, huh, I can't take. And she jumps in a life raft, like rows over to the fucking what? Like rows to where the shit happened? I don't fucking. She rows to where she.
I thought that was unbelievable.
I didn't even think about it.
And then Josh Lucas shows up and he's like, "I swam here,"
and she goes,
and I'm like, "No, you didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't do that.
And then
that's not possible."
and then she goes, and then he goes, "You've been crying." And Josh Lucas also, by the way, again, not Josh Lucas. His character is the most clueless fucking person.
He is a real dumb.
They had that conversation. Kathryn McCormick and fucking Elizabeth Hurley having that like serious, intense conversation about the death, and then she goes, and then they're actually finally for the first time going like coming at each other, and Kathryn McCormick goes like gives her a little bit of the crazy for the first time. She goes, "You wanted to know, didn't you?" And then Josh Lucas tops and goes, "What's up?" Like he literally says,
he literally slides down like a fucking firefighter. Like he slides down the ladder. He's like, "What are y'all talking about?"
Yeah. And he's like, "Look, you just take your cock back upstairs." He's just a big piece of meat. It's not, and again, it's not the actor's fault. It's how he's played.
My brother's the creative one who looks like a rat. I'm the handsome dumb one.
It's true.
Yeah.
There are 2 or 3 situations in which he like literally pops in and goes, "What's going on?"
Yeah. And like it's even cut in an awkward way where they like linger on it a little bit. A couple of frames before and after, like he hopped down the ladder,
and he's like,
he's just kind of, he's like, "What's up?" Cut, and it's just like, "Oh, that made you look real dumb."
He's the lacrosse player in American Pie. He's like in Election. He's that guy. They're playing him as that guy. And Josh Lucas is a good fucking actor, and I like him.
Actor, yeah.
And they just make him a pretty boy. And then like early on, Elizabeth Hurley. This is what they do. You think about the character development, and there's like hardly any because they've split it between 2 movies. And Elizabeth Hurley has this line where he goes, something, something, blah, blah. He comes in and lays down next to Elizabeth Hurley and kind of has to wedge himself. He's, "Excuse me, Sean Penn, get your penis out of her. Do you mind if can we just get out of the vagina?" And then he like lays down next to her and says something. And she goes, "Oh, that's so you," whatever his name is, Ricky, or I can't remember his name. Whatever. She goes, "That's so you. It's such a you thing to say. You've read more books than probably anyone I've ever met, but you like to pretend like all you care about is drinking beer and being at the Red Sox game." And he goes, like, "Who's pitching?" And I go, "That's an interesting character description. Give me that character. Because you can give me that in a book and then flesh it out.
And it's like
you just gave me an interesting character description and then showed me none of that in that character. That's what it is.
It's like that's why I'm surprised that it's 288 pages because that line, that Red Sox line, felt like I was like, oh, instead
like a
you don't have
synopsis
time,
of that guy.
You don't have time to show us.
Yeah.
So you're just like, boom, hit it, boom, hit it. Like you're hitting all your marks. He's like, well, we put it in the movie. And it's but with no finesse, and like you didn't integrate it into like the actual characters or the performances or anything. It's just like hardcover is 240 pages. Yeah, that's wild to me because that's just not that long.
So in gathering, I probably shouldn't watch this movie. I mean,
it's
no, you shouldn't.
It's dull. It's boring. It does not work on a fundamental level. But in that sense, it's kind of fascinating to watch.
But like,
it's an interesting watch.
But like, I don't want to. Yeah,
I'll never watch it again. No.
Yeah. I mean, this sounds very. She's an attractive woman, and she's naked all the time.
She's naked like a lot in this movie.
But, I mean, that's
Which is like minute 5, minute 10, minute 15.
So that's the only thing. That's the only Kathryn Bigelow thing in this movie where I go like, where it's an element of the movie that I go, this wasn't directed by a dude, like, or someone who's attracted to women because so there's that Ice Cube thing, which is like so over the top and ridiculous that I just like but almost more crazy is like the first time that she's sitting up there. Sean Penn is sitting there. She is oiling herself up. She's oiling herself with suntan lotion, which is like, you're writing a movie. What do you want the woman to do to kind of be to try to entice him? Like, oh, just oil. Can you do my back? Essentially, like it's the basically.
Here's what that script looked like. Pages 1 through 5. It just had one line on page 1. It said Elizabeth Hurley oils self up. Yeah. And then blank pages for pages 2, 3, 4, and 5.
She's doing it, and she goes, and it's just the combination of that, and then she says as she's looking to him, she goes, and like they just have to cram this stuff in here because they don't have time. She goes, a lot of poets can turn a phrase, but not all of them have the balls to talk about the themes that really matter. And I go, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, shut up. Shut your mouth. You can't say that's a ridiculous thing. Come on.
So like, is it ridiculous?
Is it? Yeah. Got an eggplant. Is it? Go. I just felt like eating an eggplant. It's like, goodness gracious, man. It's just absurd. It's just so fucking absurd. And she knocks her boots.
It was weird to me that they put Maureen McCormick in goggles for the last 25 minutes of the movie. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So you're like, you're already not doing your job as a movie, and now one of your most compelling characters in the movie, you're gonna like make me not able to see her eyes anymore.
To me, that's true. To me, it almost I noticed that as well, and I was like, are they trying to?
I fucking hate it when people like put sunglasses on and stuff. I'm like, whether you want. Like, you're like, well, it makes sense for the character. I'm like, that might be true. Yeah. But on a cinematic level, you've got like 2 things that your actors can bring to the table. And it's like their ability to sell the dialogue that is being written for them in a believable way. Yeah. And their fucking eyeballs.
It's true.
Because those 2 things, because sometimes they can be saying something that's pure bullshit on the page. But if you look into their eyes, it's almost like it can become an entirely new thing.
It's true. I almost felt, and I noticed it too, and I was like, I felt like, because it's the prime moment, like she's just been like, I'm your husband, I assume each other. And she comes up, and then she comes over, and she's like, whatever. I felt like, because it's like it's supposed to be, which it didn't work for me at fucking all. At all. But I feel like it was like, they're going like, this is the height of her jealousy. Of her. And so I felt like it was like, so they could cut to Elizabeth Hurley, who like is vomiting essentially over the side of the thing, but still is like, whatever. Cut to Mary McCormick, who's got these goggles and this baggy ass yellow trash bag on, so that she can be like, because they have to do that, because Mary McCormick is a stunning woman. Yeah, she's beautiful.
But it was hilarious to me.
It's so ridiculous. She looks so pathetic.
Like,
and I guess
I wanted to meet you. I wanted to meet you for so long because of how much Thomas talked, or whatever that line. Like,
while we were boning.
That reveals that they've had a relationship. And it cuts to her. And you know how when you have like snorkel goggles on and it like really presses you and it like makes you like, you're like this? That's what it looked like. It cuts to her face. She's like, all right, you're cheating on my... You're cheating. Okay. Ah, you bitch. And
Just,
she just looked like a total fucking nerdy dork.
which I think, but that's I think they're trying to draw that.
Oh, I'm fucked.
I know.
See what's happening here.
It doesn't work at all.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I could take these off, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Shit.
So ridiculous. I don't know. I mean, gosh darn it. This is like, I think the first time that Elizabeth Hurley is flirting with him and talking poetry is that time where she's oiling herself. And I wrote down, I go, man, yeah, I just felt, I wrote something about the actors were flip booking the first 15 pages of the script so they could just fuck each other. Because I assumed it was coming. Because that's all they're doing. And then they just keep hinting at it, and hinting at it, and hinting at it, and not happening. And it's not like, ooh, will they or won't they? I go, like, this is ridiculous.
Then Josh Lucas and Elizabeth Hurley do have sex at one point.
They do. Because then you go, check, in the store, in the trope of, like, woman in marriage being jealous of other woman who is more sexually active and is maybe attracting her husband, blah blah blah. Check the, like, hear them having sex in the other room thing.
Yes,
it's just like,
but
okay.
like, okay, so whatever, but what about Sean Penn?
What about him?
He wakes up, the moaning is still happening while he's conscious. So
like, why don't they?
Why isn't he doesn't seem to give a shit whatsoever. He doesn't even seem to acknowledge it.
Oh, you mean because of his relationship with
Well, now understanding that they have a relationship, it's like, wouldn't you? I mean, if you're gonna put that scene in, it seems weird that you're not gonna
have some reaction from him
at all.
Because even if you were not admitting at that point that they're having a relationship, we clearly we have him start being interested in
relationship. The reaction would be for her to be sleeping and Sean Penn to come in, because it all means fuck all in terms of, like, whoever's sleeping. It would have been more interesting that he comes in and hears it while she's asleep.
Just watch the Ice Cube scene on Pornhub, LOL, and LOL again at the cutaways to Sean Penn and the other actors just looking bored.
It's so... Sean Penn spends half the movie just...
Yeah.
With a cigarette.
The entire... Yeah.
My face smells like smoke.
I'm going to run to the restroom real quick.
Sorry. And it's great. It's different. The actual author is old and therefore legit. Yeah. Who is the author, by the way, and what else has she written? And is it anything of note? Also, was this book well reviewed? And was it called The Way to Water? That's like 9 questions. Look all that up in Block. Did I vape? Yeah, I vaped for like 5 months. I smoked cigarettes for 7 years, and then I quit when I was 25. 32 now. So I went quite a long stretch without them. And then on New Year's, my girlfriend got me some cigars to celebrate, very, very innocently. And I smoked one, and I was like, oh, nicotine, I missed you. And I started smoking cigars for like a month, like every day, like an idiot. And then I was like, this isn't good. And so I switched over to vaping, and because I thought that was going to be the lesser, like the more innocent way of smoking. But doing that for 5 months, by 2 weeks ago, I felt like fucking garbage. I felt terrible, and then I quit, and I feel great again.
Quit what? Oh, vaping. Oh man.
You gonna become a cigar bro? Dude, it was terrible how many of those I was smoking every single day. But you know what's awesome is I started smoking them, and I watched the first 4 seasons of The Sopranos, and every night I would just chain smoke cigars while watching it out, like standing in my doorway. I watched 4 seasons essentially just standing in the doorway of my townhome. Stupid. But also it was really fun.
There's a gosh darn it, there's a moment where
it only has a 3.6 on Goodreads, which is okay, but not great.
Huh.
So it's like, it wasn't even like super high pedigree, well reviewed. Because like, I remember when we went and saw Light Between Oceans, we were both really stoked for that. I think we walked away and we were like, it's a fine movie, but nothing remarkable. But wasn't that based off like
a novel that yeah,
like won a shitload of,
I think so,
really, really fantastic awards?
You ever see pictures of DiCaprio vaping at the SAG Awards?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so like there's this whole there's this thing where like Elizabeth Hurley and this is early on in the movie, and Elizabeth Hurley is they're talking about poetry and they're whatever, and she's like, and then and then she goes and Mary McCormick, again in the movie, this is like 15 minutes into the storyline, and she goes, how did she know? Or how did he know that the men wouldn't be there? And they look at her, and she goes, "No, sorry, I'm thinking about the case again. I apologize." And I go,
"Yeah, what the fuck was that about?"
You don't have to apologize for thinking about the thing that you are there to do,
right,
and interrupting her, flopping her tits in his face.
Yeah,
that's not a thing you have to apologize for. It's ridiculous.
She's just like, "Don't worry about it."
Yeah, oh my gosh, it was just crazy.
What else has Marie McCormick been in?
Gosh. Just Braveheart is the only thing. There's also a moment where they just drop shit in here. This is where you go like, okay, in the novel, I guess, if it were 700 pages, he goes, it cuts to like,
Kathryn McCormick, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I guess I thought.
Sorry, I cut you off.
No. I just realized something because I thought they were talking about, because it cuts to him talking about how he, because you don't realize that's what he's talking about, but he goes, yeah, she started coughing and I guess she got kind of sick and I guess Jean, or I guess neither of us paid enough attention to it, and she went into the hospital, and I was like, I thought they were talking about the baby died, or for a second I thought they were talking about miscarriage, but it's not. And they just talk about their child, their baby having a pneumonia, going to the hospital, and like you're like, oh man, so they've had a death, they've had a child death, and then you find out later he goes like, no, she was fine, and you go like, okay, but he's going something, and he's talking about that, and he goes this and that, and he's saying this stuff, and this is where like everyone in this boat, on this boat, is so oblivious to the feelings of the other people around them. He goes, talking about this very whatever, and he goes, she almost died, and he goes, Jean didn't pay enough attention, or I guess I didn't pay enough attention either, and it cuts to her face, and she's like she's chopping things so that she can chop them faster later when she gets angry. And he goes, something, and then I got a call in the hospital, and that's how I found out. That's how I found out I got it. So I don't know what it feels like to win a Pulitzer Prize. And she's like, chop, 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 chop. And she can hear it. It's obviously like Josh Lucas is sitting next to her doing something. And because he's never next to his girlfriend. She's never next to her husband. He hears that. Or he can obviously hear it. He notices that she's chopping. He goes, what's wrong? And I go like, you fucking idiot. You can hear this. You can all hear the story. The fact that Sean Penn thinks it's fine to have this.
What? I got a radio. I'm listening to the Sox.
Yeah. Because I socks in one ear, and then the other ear I got some.
I like that you're
some A. Cummings. No, yeah, it's definitely on purpose. But he's like A. Cummings in one ear. I got the Sox game on the other. But I ain't gonna tell you about the other one. Yeah. And she goes bop bop bop. It's cutting, and he goes, what's wrong? And she goes, nothing. And he goes, all right. And then she goes,
and you are so goddamn handsome, I swear.
And then she's chopping, and she goes, what's his name? Thomas. She goes, Thomas!
Yeah.
And he turns her, and he goes, huh? And she goes, did you get the wine? We're going to have a dinner. And he goes, the wine? And he goes, and then Josh Lucas goes, I got it!
Yeah.
It's the weirdest smile in the world on his face. He goes, I got it! Right here! And then he kind of whatever. And the fact that and they go,
was
cool.
Was Sean Penn saying he blames Kathryn McCormick for not, he doesn't know what it, because I liked that line.
Sure.
I really did like that line.
Well,
it's I don't know what it feels like to win a Pulitzer.
Yeah.
Because I was dealing with all this other bullshit.
Makes sense.
So was he putting that on her?
No, I think...
Because I glossed over
that's
what his
interesting.
story was until he said that line. I was like, I should go back, but I'm not, because this movie sucks. But like, I did like that line where he was like, "I don't know what it's like to win a Pulitzer because of X, Y, and Z."
Did you see Sweet Home Alabama? Are they? Do they play brothers? Because like they have to play brothers. I think I did see Sweet Home Alabama, and then forgot literally all of it, which is probably better.
I went on a date and saw that, and I think I because I let her choose the movie.
Yeah, and then never.
I don't think there was a second.
It didn't work out. Yeah. What kind of name is Smutty Nose? It's
Priorities,
a real.
guys.
It's real yeah. Oh shit. What were we talking?
What kind of name is Smutty Nose? Exactly, because this movie starts off with a voiceover and it's a real clunky voiceover setting up everything. And she's like, "Oh, we decided to go to Smutty Nose," and I'm like, "You can't say that and then gloss over that and not come back to it and acknowledge the fact that it's called Smutty Nose."
You go
Smutty Nose.
This is where you go. A remote island off the coast of New Hampshire,
shaped like a penis.
Yeah, there you go. Right, exactly. You just go, yeah. Don't mention the name because it doesn't work. No, I think that the point of that's interesting though. But I think he just was casually saying it, and then he kind of is like, he's just kind of like, I think from that story, what I get is that he was busy writing or drinking or fucking or whatever. So she was with the daughter most of the time. And then he goes, she got pneumonia because Jean didn't notice the cough enough. Well, I mean, I didn't either, but she was with her most of the time. And then he just is telling the story just totally casually. I don't know that he has like a resentment against her. I don't even think he that's the thing is we get so little about his character and about all of them, except when people say literal things that they've done.
I think that's exactly why she got upset, because what he's inferring is
it's her fault.
You literally took the one of the highest accomplishments a human being can get, and I don't even feel like I got to experience any joy of it because I was too busy concerned with the pneumonia that you overlooked.
Gosh, but he seemed
which seems mean for him to say that.
Yeah,
and say it so carelessly.
Yeah,
and then to lean into the boat the way he does, and he literally just says, "What?
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, Una Nicola. Somebody was off the Cape of Icy Nips.
That's right.
That's exactly. You got it. That's the geography. Oh, and then he goes, "Gosh darn it!" And this is just stuff where I go. He goes, "Open it, Thomas." He's like, "I got it." He goes, "Open it, Thomas. You're the expert." And I go, "You're just layering in everything is a competition. Everything's a dick measuring contest. Everything's like, but then like not dealing with it at all. Like just like every time anyone does anything, it's like
everyone just says a character motivation. Yeah, it's a character motivation. I'm like, oh, that'll be cool to unpack. They don't unpack it, and then it's that. It's just leering looks here and there, hither and thither.
Yeah, it's and then he the most like. You said it earlier, but like,
oh yeah, man, it won like half the awards it was nominated for. That's an insane batting average.
It is great. That's great.
But did you see what did you see what film festival it was nominated at? What was it called? It
was the like movies by the sea, film by the sea, film festival.
Film by the sea, film festival. It's like,
is it only movies that take place by the sea? Is that? It's this and
it won the Golden Seashell.
Yes. Yeah.
For
it's this Deep Blue Sea. Oh no, that's it. I was looking to the Jaws.
Best acting beside the ocean with the ocean in the background.
Yeah. I just can't. This line works in a novel, but doesn't work in real. And I already said it, but like. He goes, "Adeline was hoping you might read something for us later tonight, Thomas. Whatever you're working on, you know." The fact that he's his brother and he calls him Thomas. Her name is Adeline. It's just the most. I just shut your mouth.
The names are incredibly stupid.
Shut up.
When she said her name was Adeline, I said, "No, it's
not." But he has these nice things. He goes, "Love is never as ferocious as when you think it's about to leave you."
Say it again.
He's talking about that it's in that same story. He goes, "Love is never as ferocious as when you think it's about to leave you." It's a good line. I like that.
That went right in my nostrils.
Yeah.
Down into my groin. Deep Blue Sea should have sweat. Yeah. We need it. We'll do Deep Blue Sea at some point. Because that movie's You know, they had to dub a lot of the lines in Deep Blue Sea because they had a cricket infestation that they just could not get rid of on set.
No.
And it was causing them millions of dollars because they could not figure out how to get rid of them.
That's hilarious.
And ultimately, they were just like, we can't fix it. We can't rebuild the set.
And you can't have it in there because it's underwater.
So we're fucked.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to just keep filming and we'll dub it all later.
That's so funny.
Is hilarious.
There's a part of this movie where it's showing Sarah Polley. This is the flashback within the flashback where she comes to the island for the first time. And she's
all right.
And she's
yeah, I think I know what you're saying.
And she's talking. Yeah.
Flashback. Anytime someone says it's the flashback within the flashback,
you're like, oh, I don't want this.
All right, hold on 1 second.
Yeah. Sorry. And it's like, yeah, because we're flashing because it's during the Sarah Polley storyline. Flashes back the first time she came to the island, and she comes in and she steps onto the island and goes, "Is this it?" And I go, "What do you mean? Is this it? It's an island. You've just been boating toward it at a fucking speed of half a mile an hour. You could fucking see it. You would have had this conversation 10 miles ago."
Also, if she was just inferring, it's like, "Is this it?" I was like, "You mean the idyllic?"
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah, I literally
large, like Edward Hopper cabin,
lovely
that's
house,
beautifully lit with like an adjacent, like the town is right there, but you still have enough privacy, and you're right on the water, and this is amazing. And what the fuck are you talking about?
I know. I felt the same way. She's going, and like looking out on this beautiful ocean, and I go,
like, you bitch.
I go, motherfucker, you came from Norway in 1873. This is the U.S. of A. No, but eventually I was like, I guess because it's isolated, and she's like, and then she essentially says that, and she goes,
But it wasn't because the town was right there.
Yeah,
she literally, after the attack, walks to the town in her 90s.
She made up her mind to just axe people at that moment, and she was just waiting for it to be set up. But she walks up, and then she goes something, and then she's like, and it was. We grew used to the isolation, and it was just me and my husband. And the wind carried away our words. So I was like, that's not bad. And she was like, so we did not speak. It was easier not to speak, to be silent. Easier not to ask uncomfortable questions and talk about affections for other people. And I was like, at that point, I was like, for what other people? You just said there's no one there.
I remember that.
And then you go, oh, their brother. But then she goes, so you go like, okay, this ain't working out. This is not happy. And I go, you're going to be a real peach. Like, this is going to be a real fun storyline.
But it's like, again, like it laid it on so thick with its voiceover where I'm like, if you just didn't say that and then just let it play out, it would have been far more engaging to like piece that together on my own. But
they're like, we got to go because we got a whole other movie that we shouldn't be shooting that we're shooting. But then she goes, I had to, and then I think it's like her laying in bed or something. And she goes, I had to bite my cheek to keep myself from breaking into tears that once started may continue forever. Cut to Elizabeth Hurley sucking on an ice cube this close. That is the cut. And I was like, you don't, come on, movie.
These tears.
You got to be aware of what you're doing.
These tears feel good on my titty.
I was like, you can't be that unself-aware as an editor and be like, we're going from this to this.
Well, they talked it out in a philosophical way where it was just like, that's fine.
I want to see Bigelow directing the Ice Cube suck scene. Yeah, exactly. Goodness.
I guarantee you they thought that was a great idea.
And then there's a part where she's sitting where like Mary McCork is like reading because she's so studious. She's so into this thing that she's reading a book and she's open to the page where it just tells the beginning of the story. A woman, something, something. And then the pages, or she's got the photocopy pages and they fly away.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth Hurley tries to catch him with her boobs. And she does.
She kind of does. Because literally, Kathryn McCormick goes, she's like, could you do something?
And she goes.
And she's like, all right.
She goes,
and she just
catches him.
She's just kind of flopping around and she just grabs one. She's like, here's the most important thing you're clearly looking for because they focused on it.
Yeah. And then she goes, thank you.
Yeah.
Weirdly touched.
She's like, I'm going to go take my khaki shorts and glasses and Oxford shirt. Frumpy Oxford.
Because I'm the frumpy wife. I go, frumpy, no, you're not.
Attractive one. And I'm going to go sit over here.
And then and
I'm like, I hate all this. why can't two women just be attractive and dress attractively and then one be like she's rubbing an ice cube on her boob. You can still be a normal person
who's not that.
And that can still be that.
And then he like Yeah, and then that happens, and then Josh Lucas, and she's like sits down, and Josh Lucas pops into a frame with another page and goes, I'm not noticing.
And I brought the wine too.
I'm a nice guy. And then like they're all running around, blah 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 blah, and then Sean Penn comes up and goes, "What's all the excitement?"
Yeah.
And I go, "You're just never not like that."
Oh man.
You're just never not like that.
He seems like a real stick in the mud.
He tells one joke, and it's funny. He goes, she goes, it's people, because for like the 5 minutes that the rest of the people care at all about the story that she goes, gosh, there's one part where like later in the movie, she goes, why would he do this? What do you think? To Josh Lucas, and he's like, I don't know, this and that. And I go, yeah, like, this is so stupid that she would ask him. But anyway, oh fuck! She goes. They're on the island. And she goes. No, something. There's controversy about who killed him, and they don't know or whatever. And Sean Penn goes, personally, I'm working on the single axe theory, the Oswald single axe theory myself. And I was like, ha. And I was like, ha. And Elizabeth Hurley goes,
you like that, Jeff.
Elizabeth Hurley goes, she does. She literally does. No, she doesn't, but she almost does.
Oh.
Yeah. I did like the Oswald joke. That's fine.
That joke was not good.
Well, I just liked it because it was a joke.
It was a joke written by someone who is incredibly adept at writing very like complicated relationshipy type stuff. He's like, well, I need to make him funny though. It's all, frankly, it's like.
Was the axe Khaleesi?
Like if I was ever gonna need like funny material in a script, I'd be like, Brian, come in here and punch this up.
Yeah.
I would never try to write it myself because I would come up with an Oswald joke.
I like it. So maybe
I was like, cool. Yeah.
I
just wrote 6 Oswald jokes for this. I did like the moment when Kathryn McCormick is recounting the moment. Was it the moment she fell in love with him because of something he said to her that was very meaningful to her and
that
beautiful? Thing. And when she recounts it, he's right next to her.
He goes, I didn't say that.
And Sean Penny's like, I didn't say that. And she's like, yes, you did. And he's like, I would never say something like that. Is so
cheeseball or some shit. Yeah,
he's
pretentious.
Like,
that's what he calls it. Yeah,
bullshit.
Yeah.
I would never say anything like that. She's like, and she's so like the look on her face is so offended. And then he goes, and I loved it. I was just like, oh, that's harsh.
Yeah, and then he goes, if I said that, I was just trying to get in your pants.
Yeah, which frankly, I didn't even need that. I was like, that's one line too many because it was so brutal already. But brutal in a way where he was so oblivious because he's just so focused on the. That's just I was like, oh, that's a writer's ego, just coming out naturally. And then for him to say one last thing, it was like, I was probably just trying to get in your pants. I was like, you didn't need to. Yeah. That took away some of the nuance. What? How are they going to make that self-help book?
What is the secret? I can't remember.
It's a literal. It's not a narrative.
Yeah.
It's a self-help book of tips on how to. I think it's
the same way they did Eat, Pray, Love. Same thing. I'm sure they just pitched it as Eat, Pray, Love because Eat, Pray, Love. She just goes and eats and prays and loves.
That wasn't a narrative? I thought that was like a autobiography.
Was it? Maybe it was. Okay, never mind.
I think it was.
All right.
This one is like, you should make an image board. I think that's the image board book.
Gosh darn it. But Elizabeth Hurley in this movie...
Right. That's what it is.
Yeah. For the first part of this movie, talks to and looks at everything like she wants to fuck it.
Who?
Elizabeth Hurley.
Right.
Yeah.
Who wants to fuck? Elizabeth Hurley.
That's right. She just is like, oh, this and that. And she's basically... like
She is. You know what she is? She's just Randy.
She's fucking Austin Powers. She's herself in the Austin Power movies where she's going... And she's bad in those Austin Powers movies.
Austin.
And I realized, it's just she... Well, I don't even know. It's not even that she gives a good direction. She just needs good material. And this is like pretending to be good material, and she gives a good performance.
Yeah. I mean...
And Austin Powers, she's like, I mean, just whatever. She's like, maybe it's just comedy. And she just was like,
she's not bad in Austin Powers. It's just that's
fine.
just what she's supposed to play. You know?
Yeah, it's just. Yeah.
She's Elizabeth Hurley.
I know.
Most of it is her looking like Elizabeth Hurley playing straight man to.
Yeah. I like her in. I
Mikey
actually do
Myers.
like her in Bedazzled.
I don't remember anything about Bedazzled. I just remember watching it because I was so into The Mummy. Really loved The Mummy.
That's funny. Yeah. So.
And then just like Brendan Fraser's awesome.
But
I'll
then-
watch anything he does,
Yeah. I like that.
and he is awesome.
Yeah.
He's great. Mummy's a good movie.
Mummy's a
Dumb as hell.
yeah.
So good.
Super. It's
fun.
fun. Definitely fun. It's like whatever Indiana
It's
Jones, but
so
not
good.
Indiana
It's
Jones.
just
It's fun.
So fun.
Yeah. Dennis Hopper in Blueville. I think that's a
Whoa.
Are you getting enough? All right. There's so like after that thing, she goes blah 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 blah. All the pages fly everywhere, and then Kathryn McCormick folds up a particular piece of paper, puts it in her pocket,
Didn't see
and
that.
I go,
Missed that.
well, I saw it, and then I went, I'm gonna find out what that is later, and then I did not. Unless I'm
Are you sure she did that?
yes,
Because I was watching that scene. You know why?
she got a kid on. She's in that kid on.
She wanted to fuck.
Yeah.
I don't. Where she was wearing a bikini. Where did she tuck
No,
it?
no. Mary McCormick did. When Elizabeth Hurley get, oh maybe I said it. Sorry, when Elizabeth, it might have been the thing that Elizabeth Hurley gave her. She does. She takes it and then she folds up one particular piece of paper and puts it in her pocket. And
The one that Elizabeth Hurley gave her.
I can't remember
because they focused on that one piece of paper. She picks it up. She hands it to her. Maybe that was the one she put in her. It would
Maybe
make
it's
sense that that's the one, and then maybe that's the one she brings out.
Josh Lucas, where
Yes.
he's like, it looks like an original. I go, what the fuck are you talking about? You've been paying
what
attention.
the
Shut up.
What? Where did the fuck? When he said that, I was like, "What are you talking about?"
And he goes, but anyway, do you want to? Hey, you want to?
Did you dye this this papel like this papyrus? Like, what are you talking about?
That's ridiculous.
It's like, oh, this paper looks like the original.
Yeah.
Shut up.
So then she pockets it, and we go, we'll find that out later. And if it is that, because that's what I thought of as well.
It is that,
And then it's who cares?
But they don't show her bringing it out. He just picks it up. Like it's just cluttered with all the other papers on the island when she's over there. Like,
who cares about any of it?
And who cares?
Sheesh.
Because what did that mean? Like, what was that piece of paper?
It was her words to the. Well, I can't remember if it was the same thing because that's the other time where she goes, look at it, and he goes, it's her words to the prosecutor, and he goes, and she goes, it's dated strangely. He's like, look at the date, and he's like, okay, and she's like,
what did it say?
She just is like, hey, Mr. Prosecutor, I hope to talk to you about the case. And he goes, nothing to pretty much pretty
that's
standard.
What happens at the end of the movie which I also did not understand. So she lies and lies and lies and lies, and then what? The guilt gets to her, which they don't show at all. Which again could be an entire movie if someone.
But they talk about it.
They talk about it.
Kathryn McCormick talks about it. She goes,
that guilt got to her
on the boat. She's hands him that piece of paper, and she goes, "What do you make of that?" And Josh Lucas is like, "What? Okay." And he goes,
It says that she said that he wasn't guilty of murder.
No, it says that it's a letter from her to the prosecutor that says, "Mr. Prosecutor, I'd like to talk to you about the blah blah blah." And she goes, and he goes, "It's pretty, nothing to it, right?" And she goes, "Yeah, but look at the date." And he goes, "Okay." And she goes, "It's 3 years after the whatever the murder." Yeah. And he goes, "Okay." And the rest of us go, And she goes, "Why would you need to talk to the prosecutor about that case 3 years later?" And we go, "Well, I don't fucking shut up. Just shut up."
None of us care about this. You're the one writing the article that no one is going to read.
Yeah. And she goes,
"You're a photographer."
And she goes, "Maybe she felt guilty about it." And you go, "Yeah, maybe a lot of things." And then
maybe.
And then they stop that. And then I don't think they cut right to it. I think later they just show that. So you go, "Oh, she felt guilty about it, so she did it. All right." So like she lied. She lied about it.
She lied about it.
Yeah. The twist, honestly, is that she did
confess, and then they were like, we can't believe anything that this.
Well,
we
yes.
can't always believe that what.
And they go, woman can't
shit,
something.
I was like, oh fuck. Well, that's another movie. Like a lot of big ideas here that I was like, that's a whole movie. That's a whole movie. And I was like, yeah, that was all. real rushed.
But the
just glossed over, because by the end I was just like, okay.
Yeah, because then they go, so sorry, but like, so the twist wasn't that she killed her, like she killed the people. The twist was that like you thought she killed her because she was jealous. The twist was that she killed her because she was found in bed, and it was just all her sexual repression and judgment for that. And then she goes blah blah blah, and then she goes, oh, I have to kill you too because you saw it. And then she goes to the whatever. Yeah, definitely. So like later they go, maybe she felt guilty. She went to talk to the magistrate, and I go, cool. You're telling me about this scene, so you're not going to show it to me. And then they go, no, we're going to show it to you. This is that scene that they talked about, that the proof was in the letter. So now we're going to show you that scene. And I go, cut one of them. Cut the one where you're talking about it.
Because
just show me the fucking scene.
And also like. The only reason
I guess it's to hint at you
that she can come to that conclusion is to just set up that scene.
Yeah.
Like it's just another thing of like, why would she say that to anyone?
Why would she?
Why would she assume that?
Yeah.
Why, given the information, why would her first instinct be, that's what it is?
Yeah. By far,
because it could be a million things.
Yeah.
It could be, why did she go? Because if the information is, she wanted to speak to the prosecutor 3 years after the fact.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she lied. No, I don't know.
Or maybe she didn't.
Yeah, I know.
Or maybe she fucking forgot her purse.
Or maybe who cares? Maybe who cares? Maybe no one needs to see a scene about you talk. That's really just so that we go, maybe she lied.
Yeah.
And then we go, then I know that she lied. Because
and then
basically
it's to get you wondering.
Yeah.
So when it happens, you're like, oh.
But there's never that.
But you're just like, you didn't need to tell me that because I don't care.
Yeah.
About any of this.
Also, it's such a plotting thing that like you don't ever go, oh, you just go, all right, just waiting.
Yeah.
Just waiting for you to kill them, and then whatever is going to happen on this boat, and like anything would make sense because if they all fuck each other, that makes sense. If they all kill each other, if she kills everyone in the boat, that makes sense. If whatever, like who cares? And also, I don't care about any of them because they're not real people the way you presented them to me. And I don't know. And then she goes.
I would have really liked if she had worn the goggles. Like she had like a phobia or something of the water, or like water getting in her eyes.
Yeah.
So like she had to wear those goggles.
Also, why the fuck is it called the weight of water?
Because the weight of the water. It's heavy, man. It weighs on you.
If someone drowned,
it pulled her down.
Fine.
Yeah, that's true.
No one fucking drowned.
That's great.
The water doesn't
make... That's a great reason to name a book that, but that's not what happened.
Nothing.
It pulled her down. The weight of the water pulled her down.
What water, though?
And then she saw the ghost.
Yep.
And then she saw a second ghost.
Yep. You got to change the name of the fucking movie. If that scene, if they say the words "the weight of water" in the book, and that's an important scene, fine. Mm-hmm. But like, it's not, doesn't happen in your movie. So you gotta.
Yeah, we don't have time for it though.
Yeah, you gotta fucking change the name of it. Sorry, but then you don't get the title recognition. But I don't know who fucking cares, man. Oh, there we go. It's Dennis Hopper. Yeah, and then she goes and talks, and then she confesses, and she goes, "I killed them. He was innocent." And then they go. Then
my eyes went, "Oh God!"
And the men go, "Women say, women are emotional and nonsensical, and they don't make sense. We can't. This may not be serious at all." And then, yeah, and then she.
Which in and of itself, it was so stupidly handled, but like that idea,
totally,
is very interesting.
And it's echoed before. It echoes earlier when she goes. I mean, as a woman, can she? I mean, he's like, she's a woman. Can she really lift an axe? And she's like, she used an axe constantly to fucking cut firewood. And he goes, and then he goes, Lizzie Borden. And Elizabeth Hurley goes, Lizzie Borden did it. I'm the one who's going to say the word about Lizzie, the thing about Lizzie Borden, because like I'm the bad girl. And then Josh Lucas goes, she was acquitted. And then she goes, because there were men, because it was a jury full of men who thought a woman couldn't lift an ox. And you go, And then later, it kind of echoes, and you go, oh, interesting. And they go, women are nonsensical and irrational and whatever, and we have to respect the decision of the jury. Boom, boom. And then they say women are irrational, and then it cuts to her, like Kathryn McCormick, being like upset by the relationship or whatever, and you're like, we're saying she's irrational, and then like she goes crazy, and it's just fucking.
Yeah, that's what it's trying to do.
It's fucking dumb. And then like they show Sarah Polley walking to the water, and I was like, oh, she's gonna drown herself because she just is so overcome with the guilt. And then it turns out no, it turns out that it's just like we're seeing that scene again where she walks down to the water to the cave, and then I go, well, then it shouldn't be called The Way to Water.
I didn't.
That's right.
I think I completely checked. What is like the last shot of the movie? Because I think I checked out after she said he didn't kill him. And I was like, you can't spend your whole movie doing this and then doing that and then just twist it, but gloss over it within 5 minutes. Like, your guilt got the best of you when you've shown no remorse this entire movie.
I mean,
it didn't work.
Sure. Okay.
Like, that's like a crime and punishment level
this
idea to explore.
And that's the fucking Lighthouse movie. It's like the exact same thing.
It's the exact same.
Like the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The circumstances, the crime is different, but there was a point at which, so I took like detail. I kept pausing and writing different things, and then I stopped. The last thing I wrote was all caps. Elizabeth Hurley wants to fuck everything.
Yep.
And then I just watched the rest of the movie, and I think paused it and got an email, answered that, whatever. Came back to it, and saw that the last thing I'd written was like 40 minutes ago. I was like, okay. And then I wrote, I'm fucking bored in all caps because I had meant to that whole time. And then, I just didn't. Yeah. Then so let's get to because then this storm, like we get to the climactic moment where she's murdering everyone, and there's this dual storm. There's a storm happening, and then we're cutting back and forth, and there's this giant storm, and that's when like they start having these confrontations, but like it just doesn't work. I mean, it works. Like I get it. Like the storm is going outside, and then it's like, oh, crazy. Like we're gonna try to have these like these moments where Elizabeth Hurley, she gets out, she's like, I'm gonna vomit. I feel bad.
She literally comes out
because I feel sick.
Like, it's supposed to be sick Elizabeth Hurley, and she looks like $10 million.
Yeah.
She's like and then like you said, when she's on the bow, like she goes up because she's sick, she's gonna like hang her head over. She looks like $20 million.
And she's like I feel bad. And then Mary McCormick is like blah 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 blah. And then like Josh Lucas is like, oh man, we're all fucking. You gotta get that bilge pump. Just bilge pump. We gotta get that bilge pump. That bilge pump. You tell me if it stops working. Blah, boom 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 boom. So go up there. Sean Penn's like, you gotta get up here and do the mast and the starboard. Get the fuck up here. And they go da 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 da. And they have time to. And then the fucking boat is being like, they're like being thrown around.
Yeah.
And she's like, what, that, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, something. And she goes, I wanted to meet you.
Yeah.
Because Sean Penn, who I'm fucking, told me a lot about you.
Yeah.
And then she goes, and then she like gives her a meaningful look. It's like, and then like, they try to have, and then she's like, and then Sean Penn comes in and he's like, whatever. And then she's like, you got to get up there. And then she says that, and then Sean Penn comes down as whatever. And she goes, Thomas, and it's like splash, 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 and she's like, I want to talk to you. I need to tell you something. And he's like, 1 second, for fuck's sake, or whatever.
He goes, you need to get the fuck up there and
take the wheel
take the wheel of this boat. And like, it's supposed to be like this bitter, like, why won't he just give her this moment?
But you're like, no, dude, the boat's sinking.
But realistically, it just doesn't play well because, like, realistically, you're completely siding with Sean Penn. You're like, yeah, you crazy, crazy person. Yeah. Now is not the time to do this.
But it's kind of interesting because they do a good job of doing that. They do a good job of showing how much peril they're all in, and she's still like, this is important. And she's like, I love you. And he goes, just get the fuck up there. And she goes
But for me, I was so confused as to what the fuck was happening that I was just like, this is not important right now. You are all over the map in terms of like, I don't know why you're jealous as jealous as you are. I don't know why libraries freak you out sexually. I don't like, it's just a lot to unpack there that is very vague.
And then she goes up, and then Josh Lucas and Sean Penn are doing man stuff or whatever. And then Elizabeth Hurley's like, I don't know what to do. And then for some reason she's taken off her vest, or she never put it on, and she gets up there, and Mary McCormick is trying to steer a boat in a storm because they're like, that's the easiest thing to do.
I mean, that's what Josh Lucas told her.
For
He
whatever
literally he was like, "I'll show you what to do in the middle of this typhoon.
Yeah.
It'll be easy. Don't worry about it." Gets over there. He's like, "Just keep it straight ahead with this to the back. And you'll do fine. I believe in you."
I gotta get back down.
He's like, "It'll rip your arms off if you don't let go."
Yeah, and he goes, "Sorry, sir. Gotta go down. Hold on. We got time for one more meaningful look." All right, I gotta go. And then like Elizabeth Hurley comes up and she goes like, "You've got to get down. You can't."
Yeah.
And she's like blah blah blah, and then she goes, "I'm going to walk away," and it just immediately goes.
I was like, "That's a real dumb decision."
And then she goes,
"That's so dumb." Everybody, it takes a hard 90-degree turn.
And then they're like flopping around, like they must have had him on a fucking built thing that was, because like his leg goes like, it's like this is a really cool like whatever. And then she's like,
Sean Penn. I mean, he's just very good at physical acting.
"Oh, that was just yeah,
well,
but sure, same person, yeah." And then like, and then she's whatever, and then she just goes blah blah blah. "I'm going to save you. I don't know why. That boat has that pot." Knocks her over, and she goes.
To be fair, she said the line. That's why she went.
And then she goes flop. She goes up, boom, 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 and then they go, and she comes down, and then Josh Lucas comes up. He's like, "Hey!" And then there's this thing where she's like,
"Where's my girlfriend that I don't talk to or do
or
anything
care about,
with, or I haven't been on screen with her at all."
Literally,
you heard me have sex with her like off camera.
They like do not have a scene together. She sits in his lap at one point, and they kiss. That's it. I didn't
think they were in a relationship. I didn't think that either one was attracted to one another.
I know. Then she goes blah blah blah. She goes tossed over. Then then Josh Lucas comes up. He's like, "What?" And she's like, and then he goes, "Oh no!" And then Sean Penn comes up, and he's got this very nice sweater on. And then he
sees Elizabeth Hurley.
And that is the one interesting part of this movie.
When he decides to do it, and he looks at,
and
it's awesome.
It's great.
It was awesome because he looks at her. They don't have to say anything. He's like, "I'm gonna go in after her."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh fuck, that's devastating."
And he just stares at her for so fucking long.
Yeah, because he knows, he's like, I go save her. It's going to confirm my wife's suspicions and destroy her.
Why didn't Josh Lucas jump in?
It's going. Very good point. Because
especially when
he's having this internal struggle for like enough time to where,
especially when
he could have jumped in 6 times.
Absolutely. When he gets up there and it's like, oh, Sean Penn's gonna do that. He's just more that guy. That's fine. But then he stops and goes.
It's a heartbreaking moment.
It is
because he's like, "I'm probably gonna die doing this. It's gonna destroy my wife. I love her though. I gotta do it."
I know.
And I'm like,
at that point, we should have seen Josh.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yes.
That's probably like, if I was Sean Penn, I'm reading the script and I'm like, it's pretty clunky.
But
that's a really good scene.
Yeah. It is great.
And it really is good. He's great in it.
She is too.
And
the best part of the movie is the best part of that scene is when he's doing that, and then Josh Lucas goes, "Fuck you guys," and jumps over. Except that doesn't happen because it should have fucking happened.
It should have happened instantly.
Yeah. Anyway,
when the second she goes, boom, out there,
and he goes,
and he's like, "Oh, that's my girlfriend."
He goes, "Hey,"
or a human being.
Yeah, because they've established that he's the seafaring guy. He knows. And then he goes, "Hey, Thomas, she's down. She's out in the water. Just wanted to give you a fair shot, too, to jump in." Yeah.
"I'm kind of into your wife.
Yeah.
Maybe you go do that."
Yeah.
Stick around.
All right. This is to work out all right for both of us. We can raise Billy, who's the girl.
Oh, it's a girl? I forget that they have a child because they don't even show a photo of the child.
Yeah, and they don't really. They just mention it. It's like one of those. It's one of the 7 things they mention and just drop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, Sean Penn jumps in,
swims after her.
Somehow,
a lot of stunning underwater photography,
which is why
the whole
Kathryn Bigelow is like, "I can do this."
Yeah, the storm stuff is fantastic. It's beautifully shot. Like Did you ever see White Squall?
Yes.
Great seafaring movie by Ridley Scott's. The plot is all right. I remember really liking it, but being kind of indifferent to it, but being very struck by the photography of it because I was like, oh, they literally I'm way into like nautical paintings, and like I could tell that they just were like they got like like with lighting, with the sun like coming through the clouds, where part of it, like the cloud shadow is on here, but only like one thing is bathed in light, and it's just like you can do some really dramatic imagery with seafaring scenarios, and they really nailed that, and they do it here too, to some extent. And you can see her thriving
in an action scene.
In an action scene.
Yeah. In a large scale.
On a lot. Yeah. Like, I'm like, this is what you're incredibly comfortable with.
Yeah. It's
just like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
But like, that's just kind of how people are wired. Like, Ridley Scott, I think, is way more comfortable directing a movie about Attila the Hun, than he would be
like two people
in a room, like tape. Yeah. Like, I don't think he could do it.
Yeah. So and so we've got this thing. She is overboard. Sean Penn goes overboard. Somehow they get Elizabeth Hurley. He gets Elizabeth Hurley. She wraps her arms around him.
I was very confused about that entire.
Somehow,
there's a stunning shot of her reaching up,
yes,
grabbing someone's hand. You don't know whose hands they are. Like it's a reveal as to who got saved. It's revealed that Elizabeth Hurley gets back on the boat.
Except I was like, those are her wrists. That's not it.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I was only kind of passively paying attention, but I was like, that's a beautiful shot. And I guess I just assumed at that point, I was like, oh, cool.
Everyone's fine.
Everyone's fine because he's got to be right behind her because he clearly had to drag her back.
Yeah.
And then they cut to Sean Penn miles away. And I'm like, I don't understand what happened.
Yeah. And then
you were right there, buddy.
And then like I thought there was like a thing where they're pulling in, so like they're pulling him in, but they're not. And then Mary McCormick jumps in.
Yeah.
And then,
which I was like, oh, this is going to be a vicious cycle.
Yeah, I think we jump. Yeah, exactly. So all the spider to catch the fly, and then I think we jump in time and jump back or something, and like she's being thrown on the deck.
She drowns essentially.
Right. Oh, which is where she has that.
And that's where she has this weird underwater sequence where she sees the sister-in-law and then Sarah Pauli's character, and I'm not sure what it meant in any way except to give her confirmation that what we've already been told, I think, at this point is true.
It was kind of strange. It was to the point.
It was weird. It took too long.
Yeah.
I was just like,
and I don't know why it was.
She got those stupid goggles on the whole time, so I couldn't meaningfully take it all in because she just looked like this the entire time.
Blah, 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 blah. I don't know why. I don't know why because she grabs the hair, and I think you're supposed to think it's Sarah Pauli. She pulls it up. It's Vanessa Shaw.
I just thought it was Sarah Pauli.
And then you go,
very similar.
Yeah, and then you go like, oh, it's not Sarah Pauli. And then she looks up, and there's Sarah Pauli.
And she gives a really creepy look, which was cool.
Yeah, it was great. And then I go, but then I just go like, why those two? And why two?
Yeah.
Why not just Sarah Pauli?
Why not just Sarah Pauli? Why, and if two, why not the third?
Why not the third one? I mean, it's weird.
But it was just like, this whole thing is about Sarah Pauli. Why? I don't understand what any of it means anyways.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do that, then just have it be Sarah. It was weird.
Yeah, and then it just kind of was like, oh, wow. And she just, I mean, to me, it was just kind of like she's drowning. So she's like, that's what's flashing. Like, that's her.
Was it meant to be like she fell in love with the sister-in-law?
That Kathryn McCormick did?
No. Sarah Pauli.
Oh, she definitely did, I think.
But like in like a I love you beyond this realm and into the other. And...
No, I don't know. I don't
think that either. But it's just like, why else is she in the water with her? It was weird.
It was weird. I just kind of took it as like, oh, it's like there it is. Like she's hallucinating about this because she's been thinking about it so much and it's overtaken her life, taking her blah.
Sure.
And she's like,
why not just Sarah Pauli?
Yeah, I agree.
It's an odd hallucination.
It is
to have.
It is, and it's weird, but it's also kind of like, well, in retrospect, you kind of go like, well, if she was drowning, that's her life flashing before our eyes. Why not her husband or child, or any of this? And it's just like that.
Would have been cool.
But
that would have been way cooler.
Well, but I also that would have.
It would have been cool if she saw Sean Penn underwater and he's dead already, but like they have, I don't know, like she thinks he looks at her, like underwater. and they have one final moment. But then when she looks back, he's just dead.
And he comes over, he goes over to her, and then they try to have sex, and she's like, no, here, little.
He's like, cool.
Yeah. But it is interesting to me that like, and I don't even necessarily think they were going for that, but if it is like her life was flashing before her eyes, it's like that's what she cared about. That's what she was obsessed with at that point. She didn't really think about her husband. She was worried about her daughter, but like not. We don't know anything. So she throw her. She get her. Blah blah blah. She's fine, and we assume.
She let her daughter get pneumonia. From what I've heard.
Yeah. What I assume, and then I assume like Sean Penn pulled her out or whatever, and then I think we jump back, and we're there, and she's smoking, and then Elizabeth Hurley is like, kind of going.
She's a little shell shocked.
Or sorry, she's not smoking. She's just, air is coming, and she starts. Yeah, that's when she starts that voiceover. I think about like, this is my idea. I thought. Is that it's that lie we always tell, one of those lies we always tell ourselves, that you can mix business with pleasure. Cut to Josh Lucas as weird, whatever, and then it cuts to, and then we show Elizabeth Hurley, and she's like going through something, and then we cut to Josh Lucas, and he's like looking out to sea, very.
That was a great moment.
Wrought up,
yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, it's the only fucking acting moment. Not only like character moment he gets. It's the only thing of any weight.
That one shot of him staring out the boat, I was just like, that was really good.
Yeah. And then it cuts out to people poking this bunch of shit, and part of some of it is Sean Penn. Sean Penn's dead, and then it cuts to
her blowing out.
Whatever.
Smoke.
And then it
I
goes.
was like, smoke hasn't been a major theme of this movie, but whatever.
Yeah, or it's like I think it's like her breath, maybe. Oh yeah.
No, she takes a drag, and then.
Oh, it is. She really is smoking.
Yeah, and they like did a post slow. Like,
and her lips are kind of chapped up, which is a nice touch.
And I was just like, I guess that's somebody's.
Yeah.
Soul, or I don't know what that is, and then it cuts to a hard cut from that exhale to something. I can't remember what.
Oh, I thought that was the last shot. No,
it cuts to one more shot after that. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember what the last shot of the movie is.
And then the end of the movie is like, well, now that's the thing you were afraid was going to happen. Your husband died jumping in to catch to save the mistress that you knocked overboard. And now your child doesn't have a father, but he was kind of a dick anyway. And they really layered in that he's a dick thing toward the last 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of like, all right. And then that's the end.
Yeah, because she's responsible for his death.
Definitely.
Because of her jealousy, but their indiscretion. I mean, their... love affair. Yeah.
And I just go,
all right.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
And I don't know, man. Like, I think if you split them off from each other, because if you split them off from each other, you get more time to develop those characters that felt horribly underdeveloped.
You devote another hour to the 1873 stuff. I think you got a nice movie.
It's a good movie. And then the other one...
A couple more red herrings to kind of throw you off the scent of, like, what the fuck's going on.
Instead of this dual timeline gimmick that really just kind of... And it's... I know it's in the novel. I get it. I mean, I assume it's in the novel.
Boy, howdy, does it not work.
No, it doesn't. And there may be ways to do it, but like...
Not into... Like, it's literally... All the pieces are there. They're just hamstrung by the fact that they are making a feature film.
Yeah.
And they have to keep it to 2 hours.
Yeah.
Even at 2.5, I just don't think it'd be enough time. Like, you would need to do a mini-series where it's literally one episode is past, the next episode is present, one episode is past, next episode is present. Maybe start blending them through the second half, 10 episodes, and then it's going real fast like it is in the movie in the final episode where it all kind of builds to, like, this thing.
Yeah, that'd work.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before. Do that.
Yeah.
So it's another one she should remake.
Yep. But yeah, man, like what a weird, like, cause this just.
But boy, it is weird that this is the one she chose to come back with.
Yeah, and I think
which means she felt really confident that this was gonna like.
And I think it had the book pedigree and the script pedigree. Like she had like whatever she had a good cast and whatever, and she's like, it's a new Kathryn Bigelow, guys, and everyone was like, we don't like it.
But it's not that they didn't like it. It's that movie doesn't work on a fundamental level.
No,
like, I think all the reviews I read all agreed that she almost explicitly stated that they're like, she is a fantastic director.
Yeah.
This movie at its core doesn't work.
Absolutely. I know.
And I couldn't agree more.
Absolutely.
But it's almost like, because I read like 3 reviews, and all of them were like, she is very, very, very talented. Mm-hmm. And even her talent can't save this. Yeah. That's kind of what it was.
Yeah. And
it's just like she spent so long.
Talent doesn't make up for shit. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, right. For cruelty or shit. It's like she, it's very interesting to me because she did a couple episodes of Homicide, but like for 5 years, she was probably looking or developing probably a bunch of different ones that didn't get off the ground for XYZ reasons. But like she had time. And, like, I would be so curious to know if this is something that, like, landed in her lap and then she was like, let's go.
Yeah,
and it all happened very quickly where she didn't get a lot of time to consider structurally and she was just so desperate to make this.
Yep. Or make something.
Make something, I mean. Or if this was, like, a labor of love and she was like, this will be the thing that I'm going to, like, stake it all on.
I feel like it can't be that.
But it can't be that because it's just, like, the inherent... That's why I really do. I'm just like, it must have just landed in her lap. And they're like, this is a bestseller.
She was like a for hire.
So we'll get the money for it.
Yeah.
If you get the rights, because you're a woman director and this is a female-driven movie, maybe this can be your out and you're way back into everyone's good graces.
Yeah, and it's interesting because then, and I haven't seen it, but then after this, 2 years later, is K-12, The Widowmaker, which seems like just a return to action. But it also, I mean, just... Or K-19, sorry. And then looking at the poster, it's just like, but it's a more serious action. But it's like not, but it is.
Yeah.
And then...
It's historical action.
It's a true story?
Oh, I don't.
Okay. And then...
I would assume that it would be.
And then we've got 1 episode of Karen Sisko, 1 short, and then The Hurt Locker. And it's like she went for this thing, that didn't work. And then she goes, Then she goes back to action... but a little more like mature action, maybe. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And then that was a movie, and people came and saw it, I guess, and it was probably reasonably successful at the box office. And then she goes 6 years, makes The Hurt Locker, and goes action with something to say.
With substance, yeah. And social commentary.
And then and just like a movie for grown-ups, though. Like,
right.
Whereas like Strange Days has all that stuff, but it's a movie that's fun, and I really like it. Of all the movies that we've
still trying to be an out-and-out blockbuster.
Yeah, and it's supposed it's over the top and gonzo and crazy.
Yeah.
Just like Point Break is, yeah. What's up, Blue Raccoon?
You looked up K-19.
Blue Raccoon.
Okay, you want to do Blue Steel next week?
Because you want to do what? You want to do K-19? I
kind of do.
I definitely want to do Blue Steel. We can try both. No? Have you seen K-19?
I think I just want to watch it then.
You've seen it?
No.
Oh, you have? Oh, you haven't seen it?
Oh, you've seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
I just, I'm so fascinated with this.
Yeah.
I'm so fascinated to know how she, like, got back on track. Like, that's kind of where I'm at now with her. I want to know how she navigated, because this was a big, not Blue Steel, Strange Days was a decent movie, but it really derailed her. And then this was like her big comeback.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious, like, how she got back on track. So, like, that's kind of where my interest in K-19 is stemming from.
What's up, Blue Raccoon? Thank you for the follow. Yeah, and I understand that. I just, like, I watched this, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to dive back into 80s Bigelow.
Okay.
But
I'll watch one you watch. I'm going to watch this anyways.
Okay.
If it's awesome, or for whatever reason, I'm going to report to you and be like, here's what I think about it.
Okay.
If there's enough meat on that bone.
Okay.
Because I think I just want to watch it anyways. Yeah. Also, I have a weird thing where if a movie takes place in a submarine, I think it's a true story.
Well, I mean, yeah.
You said that, and I was like, I've always thought Hunt for Red October was a true story, and I like categorically know that it is not.
Really? That's
Yeah.
funny. It's interesting. I think I probably thought that was, I don't know. When Russia's first nuclear submarine malfunctions on its maiden voyage, the crew must race to save the ship and prevent a nuclear disaster. Oh, is Harrison Ford playing a Russian? Oh, he certainly is.
Oh, and he's doing a Russian accent. That could be the sole reason why we do it. Because he does a Russian accent. Yes, he does.
Oh my.
Have I seen Das Boot? I love Das Boot. Das Boot was one of the first foreign films I ever saw because I was way into military stuff as a child and prepubescent. And that's the second time I've said that today. But whatever.
That's okay.
It's a weird word. And it was the first foreign movie I saw, and I loved it. I thought it was great. And it's still, for my money, the best submarine movie. I think hands down. That thing is claustrophobic as fuck, and the way that the camera systems that they set up in that to fly through the little portholes as they're running, through the portholes to get to the other section as the submarine's dying on them and they're falling to the bottom of the ocean. It's so great.
This has got an interesting...
And I love that it's told from a non-American perspective. It's like it's a German
U-boat
movie that is told unapologetically, like patriotically almost. I mean, it addresses the issues, but it's sort of just a refreshing take.
So Harrison Ford is a Russian.
Is it real? Is it based off real?
Oh, I don't know. Sorry.
I thought that was like a
Christian Camargo. I don't know. He plays a guy named Pavel, but he's the kind of like I don't even think we talked about it, but he's the like counselor guy in Hurt Locker.
I love him.
We didn't really kind of talk about that thread. I don't think.
He got blowed up.
Yeah, that's good though. Liam Neeson plays a Russian. There's a guy named Lex Shrapnel who's in it. And I have to imagine this is his father because there's another man named John Shrapnel who's also in it. Joss Ackland is in it. He's the bad guy from Bill and Ted 2.
I mentioned this last week, but when Harrison Ford was on Conan to promote K-19, at one point he just blurted out, K-19 the Widowmaker, what a dumb name for a movie.
Oh, he's the best.
He's the best interview.
Man,
that's so great.
He's just the best.
I don't think that's a bad name for a movie. That's what the submarine's called. The Widowmaker?
The pretend one?
That's a cool.
Yeah.
I like that they put K-19 because Widowmaker makes it sound like a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
Well, we've been watching. We went to see at the discount movie theater with my daughter. We went to see Secret Life of Pets 2. I was not very fond of Secret Life of Pets 1, and then we watched it a lot, and now I like it. My
parents spoke very highly of it.
Really? The premise of it, I was like, the trailer, I was like, oh, this is great. But
my dad texted me today saying, he was like 2 days ago, they were like, we just watched Secret Life of Pets 2. You should watch that. It's amazing. Then today they're like, we watched French Connection last night. He's like, I forgot what a good movie that was. Your mom said I'll never watch that piece of trash ever again. I was like, oh boy.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I was really hoping to be like, Secret Life of Pets 2, masterpiece. French Connection, take it or leave it.
I mean, that's exactly what they said. That's what my mom said.
Oh, yeah. That's great. But so we watched. So I mentioned this last week. Oh yeah. So in Secret Life of Pets 2, and I guess we just watched parts of it, and then we pretend to be the characters because that's what our daughter likes us to do. She's directing us a lot.
She's like, do this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's like, you're you're Max. I'm this person. And then she switches. You're now this person.
Well,
yeah.
No.
She's right. I mean, we spend most of our time being fictional characters.
Amen.
And then to the point where I go like,
who isn't? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh man.
Deep.
Yo, it got pretty Terrence Malick in here real quick.
Dylan Thomas.
Oh. No, excuse me. Do you want to get into vagina?
I just like that you made her sound like a character from Das Boot.
Yeah. Well, we spend so much time as fictional characters that at night, when we're putting to bed, I'll go, "Can I be daddy and talk to you right now?" And she was like, "No." And I go, "Just a second." She goes, "Okay." And I go, "I love you." And she goes, "I love you." And I go, "Oh." And then then she starts talking to the other character. But anyway, so one of the characters in so Harrison Ford voices a character in Secret Life of Pets 2, and she really likes him now because I've started doing that character a lot. So I've been doing a lot of Harrison Ford.
Give it to me.
Here we go. It goes like this. This is Harrison Ford in this movie.
Yeah, right.
He just sounds tired all the time, and he just goes. So Patton Oswalt is this dog named Max, and Harrison Ford is this dog named Rooster, and he goes, "Well, kid, I don't know. All right, Max. All right." Like that's it. That's just it just sigh the whole time.
He because he was in like Anchorman 2.
Yes.
And everyone was like, "This is gonna be great."
Yeah.
And then he was in it, and I was like, "No,
it's just,
like it's like it's funny."
He just has such disdain for the film that he's in.
It's
No
funny because
matter
it's Harrison Ford in it, but if he attempts to be funny in any kind of way like that, you're just like, this isn't working. This isn't working well. Like, you're not into this. Like, you can tell when he's passionate about an idea, because then he's great.
Yeah. We watched.
He can be viciously funny.
Oh, absolutely. It's very funny. And we rented the thing, and then we watched the behind the scenes things, and and they have like these little featurettes on each person who does the voice. This is not a good way to water is. But and then Harrison Ford has one, and it's adorable. And he says, he's like, "I guess they think I'm a tough guy or something, and he's not vulnerable, but I'm very vulnerable, or whatever." And then he says something like that, and he goes, "It's an honor to play a dog. I guess I have a dog voice or something." I was just like, "You're great."
Have you ever seen the David Blaine episode? Like,
when he goes, it's the most charming thing.
It's the most charming thing because I'm like, I think I would
my
love,
dad. Yeah.
I think I would love hanging out with Harrison Ford.
Yeah, me too.
Like, and not like in like, oh, we would totally be best friends, but like, I'm like, if he was just a normal guy, I'd be like, that's a cool guy, because I think he is vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think he does give himself over to stuff, and I think that is a persona, and I think he really genuinely hates fame, and he likes making movies. And because like I saw a behind the scenes with him on Clear and Present Danger when they were blocking out a very complicated scene where like they get pinned, action scene when they get pinned by 2 missile launchers, and he's trying to back the Suburban up back and forth as fireballs are just going off around. And you can tell it's a very technical thing, and you see him inside the Suburban talking to like all the stunt guys and everything. And he's like, "What if I do this?" He's like, "Oh." He's like, "Yeah, okay, but I do this, and then you, oh, yeah." And you can just see his eyes are like on fire with how much fun he's having.
Awesome. That's great.
And it's so cool that I just...
Yeah, that David Blaine thing is adorable. See him be delighted.
He's just like, "Get the fuck out of here."
Yeah. It's so great. You guys talked about The Way to Water way more than you did The Hurt Locker. Maybe you just felt that way because I wasn't really
because it was such a hard movie to like break down in terms of what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, it is a disservice because The Hurt Locker, we were like, it's great. It's very solid.
It's great. And it's pretty straightforward and it has in all things considered. But
yeah. Like the only interesting thing we had to say about it was that it hit way harder the first time. That's the only like, everything else is just like, this is good. This is really good.
Yeah.
This one is just like, it doesn't work in the details or in the basic whatever.
It's rare for me to see a movie that I'm like, like there are movies that I'm like, that's a misfire, or movies that I just think are so stupid that but like this one, I'm just like, for all intents and purposes, everything in it is good.
Yeah. It's
just that like it does not come together.
No, it does not.
In any real way at all. So yeah, no, I'll watch. I'm gonna watch K-19. I'll report back, but I'm cool with doing Blue Steel next week. If I really like K-19, I'm gonna convince you to do it after Blue Steel
instead of Detroit.
Yeah,
I really want to see her most recent film.
I don't care.
Really? Detroit? You don't think Detroit looks good?
I forgot we were doing Detroit.
Oh, okay.
No, I wanted to do.
I would watch both of them. I would totally watch both of them. Because then we would have done like most of every movie that she has. Like we really went wall to wall on Kathryn Bigelow, not Kurosawa, not
2 months of Biggs, man.
The Loveless is the only. So we watched. Yeah, because then we'll have watched.
If we do Blue Steel and Detroit, the only thing we won't have done is Zero Dark 30
Which
and K-19.
It's crazy.
In her very, 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 very first movie.
The Loveless, which it's a biker movie, and I kind of want to watch, and it's got freaking Willem Dafoe in it. It's a biker movie with Willem Dafoe.
That's interesting.
I know. Let's do all of them. We're gonna be the foremost Kathryn Bigelow scholars on the planet.
I feel like I've learned so much.
I know. When he's on Conan, you can tell he desperately just wants to goof off and be silly. Oh, yeah, Harrison Ford. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
We got to do Peter Weir so we can do Witness.
Yeah.
We need to do Peter Weir.
Hey kid, I heard you saw something. You're Amish, huh? You got any butter I can have?
I do him in Mosquito Coast. Another Peter Weir.
Okay.
Harrison Ford.
Well, that's actually like a fascinating performance.
You guys want ice? We got ice.
But yeah.
You want some ice? Elsa, honey, you gotta give me that ice.
I want to do Peter Weir soon.
Yeah.
I always forget about how, like, Peter Weir was just this weird thing that I managed to stumble on because of, on a VHS tape of, like, I think it was Face Off. They had this, like, action montage preview that played on the VHS before the movie began.
Yeah.
And it was set to, I need a hero.
Oh, nice.
That's how I was introduced to Apocalypse Now, because it showed men doing manly action movie things. And they had Martin Sheen in Apocalypse Now.
Mm-hmm.
They had Harrison Ford in Witness.
Uh-huh.
They had, I think, Top Gun in there, and a couple other movies. But, like, it made me... He does, like, a lot of crazy stuff towards the, like, he's like jumping through a rice grain mill in Witness at the end of the movie, and like it just kind of running around doing Harrison in a suit.
So it's like an action movie?
Not till the end.
Okay.
Anyways, I saw Witness when I was like 14,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, fuck, this is great, like really great, and different from what I'm usually seeing, because it's very restrained and more internal. And so I immediately like looked up who the director was, and then I bought Mosquito Coast, just because it was another movie that it was same director, same actor. So I was like, okay, I'll watch that. So at 15, I watched like Mosquito Coast like 6 or 7 times, because I was just like, this is fucking great.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
Oh, it's so good.
And Master and Commander. I mean, that's 3 right there, and they're all freaking great.
And I watched The Way Back relatively recently. That's a good movie. It's good. It's not as good as like Master and Commander and other stuff, but it's still a really solid movie.
And then what? Like, is it what? Picnic at Hanging Rock?
And Picnic at Hanging Rock is great.
Might have to do a whole thing. Those montage things. I know what you're talking about. They're great because
They're so good.
there's a certain period in the '90s where like you watch one of those and it's like, and it's they're limited to that production company, to that studio, and so it'll be like. And it'll be something, and they'll be like Amadeus, Batman Returns, excess baggage, and you're like, what? And they're like, that movie with fucking Benicio del Toro and Alicia Silva. Watch it. They just throw these fucking things in there that came out a year ago that are just not hits, and they go something, and they're like, The Godfather, Scarface. Hope floats, and you're like, what the fuck? Like it's just like these things right next to each other, and you're like, that is so crazy.
I learned so much about, like, I think I got a large taste for
Ever After,
like music videos and editing in general.
Oh yeah,
and montage editing, because they would always select an amazing piece of music, and then they'd be like, Warner Brothers collection proudly presents the past 100 years of Warner, and then it would be like just all the best shots of like
Casablanca and all,
and or like Dances with Wolves, when he's like riding with his hands out like this, set to like this amazing what's that piece from Actually, that's Love Actually.
That is Love Actually.
Never mind.
That's very interesting. I was like, what are you gonna say? Because that's Love
I
Actually.
used that's weird. I used that piece of music for one of my own reels like 15 years ago or something.
Really?
But it was a piece like that. It was whatever they used for 7 Years in Tibet. The trailer for 7 Years in Tibet.
It's a ha 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 ha.
It's the Kevin. Did you ever watch the Bruce Lee story? The music, the score for that movie. It's a biopic of Bruce Lee, directed by I can't remember who. It's not a great movie, but the music is amazing. And they used it for a bunch of trailers.
Yeah, that's what they did with
bunch of trailers. And I remember seeing it for 7 Years in Tibet, and I loved that trailer so much because of that music that I made my parents take me to see 7 Years in Tibet, and being very disappointed.
Yeah. It felt like you'd spent 7 years. And is it a good movie?
It's not bad.
Yeah, who did that?
I was too young to appreciate it for sure.
It's like a Norwegian director or something, right?
I can't remember.
Somebody's-
They were definitely going for like a Kundun
Yeah,
thing. I would need to revisit it to tell you if it's good.
because of the vast, wide-ranging success of Kundun. Jean-Jacques Arnaud. Who did The Mission? Is that Peter Weir? No.
I don't know who did The Mission.
Is it Ed Zwick?
It's not Peter Weir.
It's not Peter Weir. It's not Ed Zwick.
Kundun. I liked it. I love
Hey,
I-
hey, Marty.
I love Kundun.
Is it Edward Zwick? It's Roland Jaffe. Oh.
Oh, why? I know that name.
Yeah.
He's like a producer on
The
a lot
Killing
of
Fields. Fuck.
stuff. Whoa. That's cool.
The Scarlet Letter. What a weird missions. We need to watch. Have you seen The Mission?
I think I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I started it and then I never finished it, but I
City of Joy.
but I have this. I used to have the soundtrack on record, like on a
great.
vinyl.
Such a great.
It's one of the
Soundtrack.
best.
That's what the ha 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 ha.
No, or is it?
I think so.
I just remember Gabriel's oboe is like one of the most famous tracks.
We need to watch The Mission. That's a movie.
Yeah.
That's I saw it as a kid, and my mom always loved it. And music is. Mission is one of those VHS covers I always remember seeing back in the day.
Is that the one with De Niro?
Yes.
Like that?
Definitely with
Yeah.
the
Like,
the epee. Yeah.
yeah, I would love to watch that.
That's great.
That's like one of the like.
The
I
kid-
know
I've
that's
never
like a primo De Niro performance that I've never seen.
And it's and it's got a fucking crazy cast. It's got Jeremy fucking Irons and Liam Neeson. He's not even as a small. It's like one of his first things, I think, or one of his first real things.
Really? So, because have you seen Silence?
Yeah, I know.
That's interesting.
Yes, yeah.
He's very good in Silence.
He's very good.
It's a
in
very
Silence.
good movie.
It's a good movie. Good fucking movie. Roger.
Oh yes, the cover was the dude on the cross going over the waterfall. Yeah.
Oh, I remember that from the.
I remember I've seen the poster for that. Yeah.
I definitely remember that shot from the trailer, and I've seen.
Dude, we got to do that movie.
Yeah, it looks. I mean, and then honestly, like, because like then Roland Jaffe, whose name I'm sure I'm saying right. The Killing Fields. That's the only. Yeah, no, have I, and it's
that
that's.
was Sam Waterston.
But it's I don't know, but it's the first maybe. Yeah, and this guy is like the only non English speaking guy to win an Oscar for best actor or something. There's some
Oh.
this guy. I think that guy.
Yeah, I have seen. I think I saw that when I was plowing.
It's about
through.
Pol Pot. Goodness gracious. Plowing through what?
I need to watch that. We need to.
So I mean, it could be. Oh yeah, look at that. Here's the cover.
What else has he done? Let's just go. Let's do a month on him.
The Scarlet Letter.
That's cool with Demi.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be into that.
And what
That's Gary Oldman, right?
Mm-hmm, Gary Oldman.
I'd be down to do that. Is there a fourth one worthwhile?
Captivity? What the fuck? You and I? All these things are crazy. Goodbye, Lover. City of Joy. I would watch that. It's that Patrick Swayze.
I'll watch Swayze in anything.
Mm-hmm. Now this is like.
I think Swayze is just.
I never saw City of Joy, but
phenomenal.
that's the like. supposed to be like.
Dude, let's do a
Like the
month on
Michigan-
him. That
yeah.
could be like another
I'd love to do one
Chimino
with
month where it's just like. Chimino was so fun to do when we did Heaven's Gate because I was just like, that to me was like, oh, that's why I love doing this because I was like, oh, I thought that movie was fucking awful because people told me it was, and then I watched it and it's
such a
I literally
masterpiece.
bought it because I
Did you buy it? Yeah.
I bought it but I had it for like 4 years and it just sat on my shelf.
Oh, really?
Because I got it like on a Criterion sale, but then the Criterion sale was half off, so I got it for like $10.
Oh.
So I bought it because it was like one of the few things in the
The
bin.
movie's fucking great.
And then we watch it, and I'm like, this has been sitting on my shelf for 5 years.
It's one of the most beautiful films ever made.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. Well, I want to do.
You should watch Ishtar.
Oh yeah,
It's
Ishtar's great.
good,
Ishtar's super fun.
and it's funny.
And the first like 15, 20 minutes are the
hilarious.
fucking funniest thing I've ever seen.
It's really funny.
It's got one of the best openings of all time.
It really does, yeah. That's honestly what I remember most
Yeah.
is the opening, like 15.
Yeah.
Like by the time
Falling in love.
by the time
such
they actually
serious
get to the
business.
airport, I think it kind of my memory of it peters off.
To me, when they go to the place, it gets a little weird.
Yeah,
And I don't remember.
But boy,
I don't remember
that
much.
intro for the first 20 and then the whole nightclub stuff. That's
Oh,
great.
it's so great. Yeah, man. Well, you and Peter Weir, I'm all on board for it, and I want to do Zemeckis
Yeah.
as soon as fucking possible because I would love to do.
What do you want to do with Zemeckis?
Man,
Because you said and I agree. Back to the Future should kind of be its own thing.
and like no,
Yeah.
but like Death Becomes Her. I've never seen
What Lies
Harrison
Beneath?
Ford. I've never seen that.
What Lies Beneath?
Contact.
Such an underrated.
Yeah.
And it got shit on when it was released. I'm like, what do you want?
Mm.
Like, it's a very effective
Yeah.
Hitchcockian thriller.
I would love to
with
see
a
it.
ghost story mixed in. It's awesome.
I'd love to see that. So we've got What Lies Beneath, Contact, Death Becomes Her, Beowulf. There's a The
Don't
Grinch.
joke about that. Go back to Beowulf.
Roger Rabbit.
Beowulf
I feel like
video
I feel like if you don't do Roger Rabbit, like what the? Because that is one of the most incredible technical. What? No, you don't like Roger Rabbit?
It's one of the best movies ever made. I mean it.
Oh yeah, me too. Good.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That was a big one for me growing up.
Oh, I love it.
That I just
Boom,
had to discover on my own.
boom.
It was a big one in my teen years. I was just like, I would just watch it over. I just have it on in the background. It just made me feel good.
And it's one of those things that like I have watched a million times, but it's one of the I love watching a movie that I watched a billion times as a kid, as an adult, and then like you know the next line, and as you hear it coming, your brain goes, "This is the next line," and in the same instant, you get the joke finally for the first time.
Yeah.
It's great. But yeah, Roger Rabbit's fantastic.
That third act is wild. For
Of Roger Rabbit?
Roger Rabbit?
Ishtar? No.
What Lies Beneath?
Oh.
Yeah.
Don't tell me nothing. But I do know that.
Do you know who wrote it?
No. Ian Spielberg. You're big.
He's an actor.
Todd Field.
No. That'd be good.
We both know who Todd Field is.
Nice.
It's all the
In the bedroom.
It's the only reason. It's the only reason. Oh, Clark Gregg. Really?
Greg, yeah.
That's interesting. And he was a director and he was a writer. That's crazy. I
Yeah,
did
what
not
do you
know
do,
that.
Choke?
Did Choke? I guess that's it.
He's done real good for himself because he's that Marvel guy, right?
And he's on that TV show, and that's that easy money. Wait, I don't know what I'm talking about, but yeah. Boundless memory. Thank you for the follow.
What I went to. Oh, dude, I went to MondoCon.
Oh, he's married to Jennifer Grey.
Who?
Clark Gregg.
Who's Jennifer Grey?
Dirty Dancing.
Nice.
That's what I was looking for. Yeah, Ferris Bueller's sister. Yeah.
I went to MondoCon where Marvel posters are prevalent.
Yeah.
But MondoCon is like a movie poster convention. And guys, I cleaned up. I got some really cool posters. And I spent a lot of money getting them framed today. I don't have any more money. But it was worth it. Because I got like 7 new posters. I don't even know where I'm going to put them. But I got like...
What posters you get, bro?
I want to show...
Oh, yeah.
Just the one. So they did a special screening last night to end the entire. It was 2 days. It was Saturday, Sunday, And then last night they did a special screening of There Will Be Blood, and it was like $70 a ticket. But if you went and you managed to get a ticket, you got an unreleased poster that you didn't even know what it was going to look like, but it was specially made for that screening of There Will Be Blood. And they released it, and we were all nervous because we were like, it could be awful. Like, it's such a subjective thing. Like, I spent hours like each day I would walk away with like 3 posters a day, but that was me walking around for like 7 hours trying to decide which ones I wanted to get. And then they released it, and we were all pretty bowled over. Hope this shows up. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Let me see if I can turn it. But how?
It's a skull, and then there's a derrick, an oil derrick, and then
an oil derrick, and yeah, there you go. But yeah, it's pretty rad, and it looks great up close.
yeah.
And I got some other cool stuff, and I'm really excited, and I had to take a job so I could have money again.
You find it? You probably found it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Where did you find that? I couldn't even hide, because that's awesome. I'm going to go home and look at that. So I'm not going to have my posters for like 2 months.
Wait, because they're being framed?
It just takes forever to get stuff framed, especially.
Why? Because they're just
It took me
so
2.5 hours.
Backlog or something?
Yeah.
Huh.
Sometimes, and then when I went in with 7 posters. Like it was cool on one sense because I was just like, I have 7 posters, and they were like, okay. And then each one we had to talk about how we were gonna do it, but each time I pulled out a new one, they were like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Do you think it's cool though, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
I don't even want them all framed. I just need that validation.
I need that validation
because
I spent a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, it's fun. It was my first time going, and I think they're only going to do it every other year now. So in 2 years, I'll go again.
Yeah. Hey, man. Thanks for that poster. That was really nice of you.
Yeah, dude. And I found out because I went to a bunch of panels, and
Are they doing another one?
And they're doing another
Batman
this year.
Son of a bitch.
We should go together.
We should.
Because.
But I should leave my wallet at home.
No, because this is what's great. Like, I went to the last one, and I got that for you, and it was only $50.
Yeah.
But now it's worth, like, probably triple that minimum.
Oh, I shouldn't have put it up. I shouldn't have taped it up to the wall then.
I mean, yeah, you shouldn't have, but it's your poster. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do with it. But yeah, like it's cool because like you can get them for $50 for a Mondo poster. That's why people go to the things is like you can get really cool prints for cheap, and then they go up in value.
That thing's awesome.
But that's just an amazing poster.
Yeah, it's really cool.
But I'm excited to see what they're gonna put out because like to this day, I still think their Batman prints are my favorite Mondo official posters, and they're doing a whole other new one, and then they're doing Pixar at the end of the year. So that's cool.
How are they allowed to do that?
They talked about that at
They're
length.
paying license?
Because they were like, a lot of audience people were like, hey, why don't you do a wider variety of movies? And they were like, because licensing is incredibly hard. Oh yeah, that's that Ollie Moss one. That was the first poster.
So they
that was the poster that got me into Mondo.
They do license these things?
So they have. They have to.
Okay.
And they were like, it takes so long, and they were like, why do you do so much stuff with Disney and Universal and blah blah blah? It's like because those are honestly like everyone loves to hate on Disney as like this big evil conglomerate. They're the nicest people to work with, and they're very lenient. And they approve a lot of our stuff because it's not just about getting the studio's license. You then have to get the likeness rights if you're going to put an actor in it. Oh. You have to get the rights.
Disney owns all their, and they're not even.
Well, it's just so much of it's animated that you can just kind of.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. But I learned a lot because like I wondered that too. I was like, why don't they do? I've been desperate for like a really cool Heat poster, and I have one, and it's cool, but it's not like. It doesn't bowl me over.
Is it Pacino going?
Yeah.
huge head. You got a great ass.
Yeah, it's just an ass, and he's just shouting into it.
She got a great ass. You got your head all the way up it.
But what makes that scene is the reaction where he goes, "Oh my god," which I feel was a 2-camera setup, and it's his genuine reaction to that.
100%.
I got that Suspiria one. That's the variant. I didn't get that one, but I got the original one. That's not all red. Yeah, there's a lot of cool shit there.
Cool, man. Oh boy. Well, shoot. Hank Azaria said it was a genuine reaction. He didn't know Pacino was going to do that. Because how could you? How could you know another human being would do that in a thing where he's being recorded?
So that really was real. And then his honest reaction, like off the cuff, was, "Oh my god." That's so funny.
That's awesome.
I wish they would. I wish they would have cut back to Al Pacino like in real time. And he goes, like, "Oh my god," and he's like,
"Yeah." Oh.
When I think of a woman's ass, something comes out of me. So what?
Charlene. You think? What is he? Okay. The eggs are burned. I don't care.
Chicken.
I got a guy over there across town stuck inside 2 hookers. What? Yeah.
Oh my god. It's just Pacino going around saying stuff, and then actors in real time being like, "Oh my god."
I got another guy downtown. Another hooker cut her open and walked around like she's a puppet.
Do Pacino's Bill Paxton's True Lies.
Oh my gosh. I got a great one going now. Oh boy. Ass like a 10-year-old boy. Hoorah.
Oh.
Because she got a young.
Oh man. I watched Carlito's. Nope.
Donnie Brasco.
That's where it got. That's why I didn't watch it.
Donnie Brasco.
I watched Donnie Brasco for the first time, and no one told me what an amazing, not only an amazing gangster movie that is.
Who did that?
Yeah, someone I wasn't really familiar with.
Clark Gregg.
But one of the truly great Pacino performances. I thought it was another big bravada Pacino thing, and it's not. He plays it quiet and vulnerable, and I just thought he was going to be like the head of some mob thing, but he's not. He's like a low-level player.
Mike Newell.
Yeah, what else has he done?
4 Weddings and a Funeral. And Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Oh, okay.
Into the West.
So he's done real well.
Yeah. 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
I think I've seen... Okay, so I started Carlito's Way. I got about 10 minutes in, and I was so upset with how Brian De Palma was directing this movie that I think I turned it off.
Oh yeah, Champagne.
Because I think I have an allergic reaction to to Brian De Palma's style. It upsets me.
We got to do De Palma.
We should. That will be such a fun month because I feel like I'm going to be very angry each time we come on here. Doesn't it open on a one shot? Of course it does, because that's De Palma. And it zooms. It's a 7-minute one take that has like 19, naked women in it at a train station for whatever reason. I don't know. He's so look at me.
What's an awfully big adventure?
I won't look at him.
Ooh, now I want to do Mike Newell.
That'd be interesting.
Because he's done a lot of Young Indiana Jones.
Oh.
Enchanted
With
April.
Sean Patrick Flannery.
Yes. Amazing Grace and Chuck Dancer, Strange the Good Father. Ooh. Birth of a Nation, 1983 TV movie? No, probably not the same. The Awakening? What the? But then there's a movie called An Awfully Big Adventure that has
Hugh Grant and Alan Rickman. Set right after World War II, a naive teenage girl joins a shabby theater troupe in Liverpool. During a winter production of Peter Pan, the play quickly turns into a dark metaphor for youth as she becomes drawn into a web of sexual politics and intrigue. And it's called An Awfully Big Adventure. Sounds like a kid's movie. Pushing Tin, Mona Lisa's Smile.
Oh, Pushing 10.
Yeah. Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. What an interesting... He did Donnie Brasco, and then 2 years later did The Adventures of Young Indiana Jones. I don't know why.
Why not, man?
I mean,
That's probably a good connect. I bet there's a lot of directors who did Young Indiana Jones. Like Frank Darabont did. I know that.
Did he? That's cool.
But yeah, I think he wrote a lot of them too.
That's cool.
Because I mean, why wouldn't you? You'd be like, oh, Spielberg he likes that movie you did. Why don't you come over here and do that?
Like, yep.
And who else likes it? George Lucas does. They both want to like talk to you and be friends and hang out.
Yep.
But like, yeah, I'll do that. Who are you?
Yeah, man. All right. Well,
so Blue Steel next week.
Yeah, and also K-19. And then we're gonna.
I'm just watching that for my own pleasure. Blue Steel. Why do it? Oh, that's a Zoolander thing.
Yeah.
All right. I'm impressed that you didn't make a Zoolander joke.
Oh, I knew Blue Steel from Blue Steel before I knew it from Zoolander, and I've never seen Blue Steel. I think it's just something that I don't know. For some reason, I've always been aware of that movie, and I don't know that it's one that people.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
She looks like a younger version of herself in True Lies, though, from the still shots I've seen. Like the same kind of dress she wears for a large portion of the movie.
I just know her. I know she's in the cop uniform.
Yeah, Imbalok, you and me. We'll watch K-19. We'll talk about it together.
Okay, me too. Okay, me too.
Watch it. No, you're done. Get out of the submarine. The two-man submarine.
I want to watch Off the Big Adventure. I want to watch Young Indiana Jones. All right.
Wait, quick question.
Yo.
You seen Hunt for Red October, right?
No.
Oh.
No. It's a fucking Tom Clancy book. I'm going to watch it.
Oh, well then I was going to literally ask you who your favorite Jack Ryan is, but you would have no idea because you hate Tom Clancy.
I don't feel that way.
I understand it. You explained it to me at length.
Jack Ryan, I think the only one I've seen is The Firm.
That's John Grisham.
Potato. Wait. What?
Brian, what's your favorite Tom Clancy novel? It's The Firm. without question.
Yeah. Well, it's the only one that I've seen, and it's not him. So what is Jack Ryan in? Clear and Present Danger? Who Gives a Shit?
Clear and Present Danger, Patriot Games.
Oh my gosh.
Those are the two Harrison Ford.
I cannot ever remember that those are not the same movie.
But before that, it was Alec Baldwin in Hunt for October.
Okay.
That's probably the best one. Like, hands down. Like, without question. It's McTiernan. That's why I'm surprised you haven't seen it.
Oh, it's McTiernan.
It's McTiernan. Like, it's a fucking great movie.
Is it really?
Yeah. Sean Connery.
You doing a Russian accent?
Not really.
I'm Russian. If you don't believe it. Suck my... All right.
You know what else looks like a submarine? Yeah.
How come? Why don't I get in a movie with that Elizabeth Hurley? I heard she does interesting things with ice cubes and penises.
Are you doing all horror for October? Oh.
Yeah, we need to talk about that. We need to fucking get on the ball. We're going to go talk about that right now.
Boom. See you guys later.
Yeah, we will. It'll be horror month.
It's going to be great.
Any suggestions? Do you want to do a free-for-all or a theme or
audition? Oh yeah, you mentioned that.
Fuck yeah.
Let's do it. I've never seen it.
Cool. We'll do that one. The Witch, okay.
Okay.
Can we not do the double V thing? And that's like
the
calling 7 as with
Vivids.
putting the fucking number in it, and I hate it.
Oh, I do it all the time.
I'm sure you do.
I refuse to not do it because that's the name of the movie. It's the 7.
It's a 7.
It's a 7.
It doesn't.
It's a 7.
I still don't understand why they did. It's like it's not a V.
I mean, I know, but you get it.
I don't want you to get confused with the other Witch movies. That's fair. Vitch. At least with the Vitch, at least with Witch, I understand why they did it because it's like an old timey way of spelling it. 7, I've never understood.
It's the 7. And are you gonna see the lighthouse? The little lighthouse.
Yeah, I'm very excited for
The
it.
little lighthouse.
I heard it's like funny.
It's about a lighthouse, man.
I heard it's like a dark comedy.
Lighthouse looks like a dick. You know what a
lighthouse
lighthouse looks like?
Bring the submarine up next to that lighthouse.
That's right.
2 dicks.
I don't see a lighthouse. You will in a second. Let me go over there and lay down.
Calling you into port. The port is your vagina.
Oh man.
Entrapment.
Let me tell you, there's something else I call the Rock.
I'm trying to think of that.
Yeah, I know.
Port like a 10-year-old boy.
Oh my gosh.
I like, the hardest part of the hill was getting over the hump.
Wait, is there a movie called The Hump?
The hill.
Yeah, The Hill.
Yeah.
That's right.
Junior.
Junior. Junior. Only the penitent man. Only the penitent man can pass. Penitent.
Yes. I called it murder on the Orient Express. But I won't tell you what I murdered. I murdered a...
Can you believe that's like a thing? That's like an idiom that people say. You murdered that, and you're like, that's the worst, man.
Yeah.
That's you cannot.
But I did it though. I mean, I'm not saying it's great either, but that's exactly what I did. That's how they respond to that.
I followed it
Like,
home from the hospital.
Yeah, murdered them guys.
Oh,
yeah.
that's the worst. I followed that vagina home. It was in a nurse's uniform. It was getting off late. Got into its 1967 Buick Skylark.
I was running parallel patterns week after week, trying to chase her down.
I think I got really specific. There's like a specific serial killer MO that didn't he do nurses? Somebody, I don't know.
Yeah.
Was it Bundy?
Yeah, Bundy was nurses. Make them guts go plop. Y'all know what I'm saying.
Goodness.
Oh man, that's so gross. We should do Zardos.
Yeah, we should.
I'd love to do John Borman. I would love to do
Zardos. A John Borman movie?
Zardos, yeah.
It's like Exorcist 2, The Heretic.
They did it on
Deliverance and Zardos.
Yeah, The Heretic. Oh yeah. Zardos. I want to do Zardos with the commentary. Because apparently he watched his director's commentary. He was like, we had to put it starts off with a float. I watched it. It starts off with a floating head explaining kind of the universe. He's like, we had to put this in after screenings. A lot of people didn't understand what the movie was about, so we had to kind of ease them into it.
With a floating head.
But I'm afraid this didn't really work either. He's like, and then it later in the movie, it's like, there's actually a great deal of hubris I'm seeing in this. I was very close to everything. I wasn't willing to cut any of these shots at the time, and you can actually fast forward through this. This is a lot of this is unnecessary.
It's just a lot of Sean in the banana hammock for some reason.
That movie is crazy.
Excalibur, is that John Borman?
Yeah, I think it is, and I tried watching that. I like Deliverance. That's a good movie.
Oh, it's like a classic.
Yeah,
I've never seen it.
It's good.
Yeah,
and it's like Burt Reynolds, and I'm like, cool.
Yeah,
I get Burt Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
But Excalibur, I think I tried watching it, and I was just like, oh, it's before they figured out how to do the realistic approach to it, which some people probably hate, but I understand why Game of Thrones works the way it does, because they're just like, we're gonna treat this real, and I don't know, it looked weird. Anyway,
Blue Steel
next week,
and K-19, the Widowmaker probably.
Nah. I hate splitting movies. You keep trying to split movies on me.
Hey man, How's all Blue Steel?
And I'm into it. I'm gonna go home, and he's gonna go home, and we're gonna watch it, and that's just what it's gonna be.
I mean, I might watch it.
And then when we make inside jokes during the stream next week, as we're talking about Blue Steel, that neither of us really wanted to do. No, I'm very excited. I'm very excited for Blue Steel.
No, you're not.
I am.
Are you?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Who else is in it?
Tom Sizemore for at least a little bit.
For real?
At least one scene.
Really?
Hmm?
Cool. That excites me.
And he has like dreadlocks.
Does he really?
No.
Oh, I would just wish she just keeps putting him in. She's like, put this fucking thing on.
We're gonna sub the F out. I might also sub the F out.
You're not going to.
I feel like I might.
I might watch it tonight. What are you gonna do?
All right. Let's just watch it now. Let's just go downstairs and watch it.
All right.
What are the other Jack Ryan movies? Who cares?
I mean, after that,
Ben Affleck played him, right?
yeah, he did.
In what? Sum of All Fears.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, that wasn't a bad movie, but I just don't like Ben Affleck as an actor.
You ever give both movies?
Is there something that Ben Affleck is good in as an actor? As an actor.
Yeah, Ben Affleck. He's pretty good in. He's good in Chasing Amy.
That's true.
He's good. He's fine. He's good in. He's good in.
He's good in The Town.
Yeah, and he's good in Good Will Hunting. It's good.
Yeah, but that doesn't count.
Why?
Well, I shouldn't have said that.
Why doesn't that count?
Absolutely counts.
Yeah.
It's because I guess I'm talking about leading man.
It's good in Armageddon. It's good in Armageddon.
Right.
I can still see you. This is not The Weight of Water. I can see what reactions you're having. Yeah. You can't. Huh? Yeah. Let me show Jeff the Armageddon commentary clip.
He did. I loved it. That made me like him.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Oh, he's great in Gone Girl. He's got a lot of great performances.
Didn't that guy from The Office do it?
Shit on.
Yeah, John Krasinski is in a show called Jack Ryan. And every time I ordered something from Amazon Prime, it was like, watch it!
Yeah.
I was like, stop it.
And it's a CIA analyst standing in front of an explosion holding a gun. And I'm like, he's a CIA analyst. He like crunches numbers. That's his job.
He's the Rainmaker.
What?
It's Jack Ryan. He's the Rainmaker. He's the client.
Oh. That's good.
Yeah.
I was too dumb.
No.
Yeah, that's good though. You should have started with the client. I
forgot.
forgot.
That wouldn't make any sense.
Is the Rainmaker?
Yeah, it's the Matt Damon.
Too? Yeah, but that's Grisham too.
Yeah. Are they not all the same person? Is the firm not the same guy as the Rainmaker?
I think so.
And the client?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are all the same.
And the Lincoln lawyer?
No, that's got 3 words in it. Gotta keep it to 1.
I saw the firm. It's got Gene Hackman in it. Fine movie. It's fine.
Yeah, it's got a very energetic Tom Cruise performance. Very earnest.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of running.
Yeah.
He runs with a satchel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
That last one was good.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks. Did I show you that dude who does like a crazy Tom Cruise impression? Did I show you that guy? Oh yeah, we talked about that.
Oh, the guy who does the Christian Bale.
Yeah.
That's Christian Bale's.
All right, that's it for the 4th time. All right.
Oh, last thing. Talking about commentary clips. Have you seen any of the clips from the Gone Girl, David Fincher's Gone Girl commentary?
No, is he like
talks about Ben Affleck?
Shit about Ben Affleck?
He shits all over him. He did not. I don't think he liked working with him at all.
It's a pretty Fincher thing. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I have seen one of my favorite commentaries is Total Recall, where it's Schwarzenegger and Paul Verhoeven together, which is great.
That sounds awesome.
It's great in general.
Yeah.
And then they're talking about a certain part, and this is like the 10th anniversary or something. And there's like this constant tension. I think I've said this before, between like whether Quaid is dreaming or is reality or something. Blah, 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 blah. And they're watching a certain part, and it's something like Verhoeven's like, yeah, and so this part, of course, like, Quaid just doesn't know he's streaming here, and he's not real. But this is whatever. And then Schwarzenegger was like, oh, that's it. I thought he was streaming. I thought he knew it was not real here. That's why he goes, no,
no, I don't. He does not know it here. He's not. This is not. He's not where it's his dream. And then he goes, and Schwarzenegger goes like, oh, because I was playing it like on. This is like the 10th anniversary commentary.
I'm gonna have to listen to that.
I love it so much.
That's
I was like,
so good. I love a good, like, when you get real, like, non-rehearsed gems like that, when they're not like, I love a good informative commentary, but when you get stuff like that Ben Affleck thing you sent me, where I was just like, oh, and then they keep it in.
Yeah, that's interesting. I do a lot of it. Yeah, he's like, this is Sharon Stone. She's a lovely woman. She's great.
So sexy.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. Yeah.
Gone Girl. Yes, that's what that was one of the things I heard. Gone Girl had to shut down for 3 days.
That's pretty cool though. It's funny. I mean, it's not cool.
It's not cool at all.
It's funny though.
Probably in
the least cool.
millions of dollars, because
yeah.
he's a Boston guy and he won't wear a Yankees cap.
Yeah, that's funny.
What a dick.
Did they end up?
And then they had to not. And then I think they had to go with a neutral, like he's wearing a Detroit cap or something. But I don't think he's wearing a Yankees cap.
Why did he have to wear a Yankees cap?
I can't.
And pointing to Gone Girl.
I can't remember why.
I didn't really like Gone Girl.
But hey, when your director says put this fucking cap on, you shouldn't. Especially when it's David Fincher, don't be like, I can't. Why? Oh, because I'm from Boston. I'm a Boston guy.
Like we all know.
We got like that legendary riff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, a Mets hat. That's right. What a cock.
Mets hat. Who cares?
Exactly.
Yankees, I get. Not really. Not to the.
How?
Not to the tune of.
It's a sports team for a sport.
Yeah.
I love baseball. I played it for a long time. But
All
get
right.
the fuck over yourself.
Yeah. Well, it's a sports team for a sport that your character likes in a movie. But why would that shut down production?
Because they had to get those shots.
But like, so why do you have to wear a Yankees hat? I mean, I know, shut the fuck up, Ben Affleck, and wear the hat. But
I don't know.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Why wouldn't Fincher just CGI it out or in, right? Wear a Sox cap and then turn it into a Yankees cap. Anyway, whatever.
Can you imagine if that was the comment? So Fincher's just like, well, then just put this hat on. Just put this on. He's like, no. I know what you're gonna do.
you're gonna Superman mustache me.
Yeah, I'm not. All right, action. He's like, all right, I'll put it on. All right, Ben, action. Now you can't do it. No, you can't, because my head's blurry. It's gonna make it real hard to rotoscope it. His name's Ben.
Yeah. And they just put like a big green bee on his. He's like, I know.
Just put on the strangely green hat.
Yeah, right. Exactly. There you go.
I don't know.
Sorry. All right.
Cool.
Well, guys, thanks for hanging, and I can't recommend this movie.
Nope. I wouldn't watch it.
That's it. Sorry, I like Kathryn Bigelow, and it's interesting to see.
When you do 2 months on a director, they're not all going to be winners.
Sounds like you dodged a bullet.
You really did. It's not even fun in like a really bad way.
Yeah.
It was fun to discuss it and break it down like this. Yeah. It really was.
Yeah.
But it wasn't enjoyable in like a bad way, like a Van Damme movie is or something. Yeah. It was just bleh.
Yeah. You probably saw the best of it on Pornhub.
You saw what?
I said you probably saw the best of it on Pornhub. That's not fair.
But it is.
Yeah. No, the best of it is that last scene. That
I'm
was gonna dive off.
But,
not worth it though.
But not worth it at all.
Yeah,
it's
good
2 hours.
stuff.
It's a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, what I wish someone had done is just like explain it to me, not even necessarily well, and then show me that clip.
And I've been like, that is very moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when you said it, when you like described it,
yeah,
I was like, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Doesn't translate.
Can you imagine? Because it was flippy.
Hey, did you ever see?
He's just icing
what
down
the
his
hell are you doing there? Are you talking about one of my favorite movies? Weight of Water.
All right, guys. How do you think? Do you think Bigelow actually said anything like, "No, No, I mean, yeah.
Right now,
I mean, I had to because it's such a tight shot, and they're just like, okay, bring it down. And
I
just
like that she
kinda-
talks to her actors like pets. She's like, nice the titty.
Yeah, the DP's like, no. Oh, I had a.
Like all those shots, you
got a
just see
hair
the
in the
camera
lens.
just like slightly move off kilter away from the scene because he's just like focused. He's just like, oh my god.
Got to check the gate, but I think it's fucked. We should do it again. All right.
All right.
It's a bad movie.
Yeah.
It's poorly realized. It's poorly conceived. Really, honestly, poorly conceived.
Yeah, I mean that's really. I mean everybody did their job really well. It's just poorly conceived from the inception of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Later, guys. See you in a bit, and we will be back.
1 week.
1 week.
Blue Steel.
Blue Steel.
We're gonna talk about what kind of horror stuff we're gonna do.
Yeah, that's right, kid. You're gonna like it.
We're gonna put audition.
Suspiria, we talked about.
I would love to do the remake.
I would love to do both. Where I wanna be. We could do horror remakes. We talked about that. Audition's not a remake, but
I gotta pee. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it after that.
I got a fart. Bye, bros. Give it
For sure.
All right. I'm gonna watch it, and you guys aren't gonna watch it, and you guys are gonna watch some
Okay,
other
like-
sub movie. Yeah. And I'm gonna be like,
This guy watched T19 The Widowmaker.
do you guys remember when Harrison Ford was like, I'm doing an accent, so just trust me.
We're like, we both watched Dust Boot. All right.
All right. And I watched McHale's Navy. Boom! Full circle.
Is McHale? That's the Kelsey Grammer
Yeah.
vehicle.
But it was also a show, but yes.
I love the movie.
Yeah. Really? I understand.
That's Patton Oswalt's first movie.
Nice review, guys. Scathing. Oh, nice. All right. Lots of love. We'll see you next time. And here we go. 3, 2, 1.